His microphone just broke. What do you need, Tease?
Toyota read.
Toyota read. I need a read.
It's right here.
Oh, okay. Guess what? If you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota. Let's go to Patriots Unfiltered.
Be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Hey, Mike. I just identified a Mike.
I know.
It's overrated. Here's the guy that we're going to key our blocking scheme on.
No, it's not keying. None of this is right.
If it had to be inland, I'd think I'd live in Tennessee.
Why?
Nashville.
Get your country music
the
career
taxes.
Taxes.
You have a lot of wealth that you have to worry about?
Not yet.
He has fun on offense. Like, the stuff that he
That
does.
play was fun.
Like,
I'm not a huge.
You're not a fun guy.
The touchdowns that they scored in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember this, Mike. I know you don't tend to remember plays because
No.
you don't like football like I do.
I think an acre is how much one single man could reasonably plow in a day.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where that came from.
That's what we're talking about when you come up with, I'm going to live in Tennessee because there's no taxes there. That was the Alexist thing ever right there.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
Okay, now we're going to start.
Now we can start the show.
All right.
Oh, man.
As you can see, it's Deuce, it's Alex, it's Evan. No Paul.
No Paul.
Paul is out today.
We're going against Paul right now.
Yeah.
He's on the Sports Hub, so.
We'll get better ratings.
Myself, Chris Ferreira in the booth, being assisted by Matisse. So
They're trying to figure it out. This is not
Yeah.
Catch-22. Don't
there's a
believe.
lot of scrambling back there and pushing of buttons and picking up phones and but we're here.
We're here.
Talking Patriots for the next 2 hours. We got the Broncos coming up on Sunday night game.
How's the weather? Is it gonna rain? Is it gonna snow?
Possible
Little-
snow.
little,
Yeah.
Little weather
Yeah.
possibly.
Now, the
Might-
day
maybe a little
before it's
snow.
supposed to be pretty warm.
Yeah.
So I got to imagine that there's this cold front coming through, and that usually causes precipitation when. And
It's good for Santa.
it just depends on how cold it gets, whether it's snow or rain.
But if it gets too cold, what do you get? Freezing rain? When do you get that?
Sometimes it gets too cold to snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the air dries out and it just doesn't snow.
If Matt was here, I'm sure he'd be playing the "What are you, a weatherman?"
Yeah.
quote, but
So
I saw a Marine walking out with his sick kid, and he goes, "Yeah, he has an ear infection." Poor kid's just like holding his ear like this. He goes, "My ear hurts," and I was like, "Oh no, buddy!"
those are the worst. The ear
Yeah.
infections for kids.
yeah.
my kid had a double once. The same thing. Like you're all your work day gets thrown upside down is based on schedules and stuff. But yeah,
was
we've been there.
I mean, it wasn't like funny, obviously, but it was.
You just pointed out, loser, have
I was
fun.
like, "Oh, no,
Your
bud."
dad's got to work.
So what do we got? What?
Well, we got Deflategate Part 2, Fred. Unfortunately,
Oh, God.
are we even going to talk about it? I don't even know if I want to.
Yeah.
I definitely don't.
I don't want to.
But could that at all explain Ryland's miss and also the Denver kickers miss, who hadn't missed all season?
That was so. Mark Daniels is the one that had the report, and that in the story, that was what whoever he talked to said that it was why Bucker and Ryland missed.
Yeah.
The ball was short on both kicks or something like that
Well,
because it wasn't-
Ryland's went straight up.
right. It wasn't flying properly.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough
Yeah.
air in the ball. So
So that's weird.
yeah, if I was Harrison Bucker, I'd be pissed. It's his first miss of the year.
Yeah.
So he might.
why haven't we heard from him yet? Like, I'd like to hear him.
Right,
weigh in
that
on
might have
the
cost him
story.
not the guy that's missed half his kicks. You want to hear from the guy that hasn't missed? Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like he that might have ruined his perfect season. Like
Yep.
he might have had a perfect season on field goals, and they just ruined it for him.
And this was just the officials just not pumping up the balls
So I guess the
hard
Cape,
enough.
yeah, the Cape balls don't. They're kept under wraps until the game,
Yeah.
so they're responsible for it. I mean, like the only thing, like I'm bummed Paul's not here because I would just love to hear how either disinterested he is or his conspiracy theory that he tried to figure it out. But I mean, I think to me, on a year where the referees have kind of been on the in the crosshairs, it's just kind of another sign of not an attention to detail and them messing up. So I think that
Hero
to
of
me
all
is
places.
yeah, a hero of all places.
So do you want?
But see, I know I'm going to open up a can of worms here, but This is what Brady was pissed off about back in the day. He told his guys, if you bring the rule book in there with them, and show them the minimum amount it can be inflated, and that's what I want. And what would happen is they'd get the ball just the way he wanted, and then the refs would go psh, psh, and add a little bit more. And Brady was like, no, they're not supposed to do that. That was the whole thing. It was like, it wasn't breaking the rules. It was, getting the ball to the absolute minimum and proving to the refs that, yes, we can do this,
So just to be clear, though, the K balls and the game balls are separate.
They're separate balls.
Right, yeah. So the K balls are controlled by the league. The ball that Brady was using in the 2014 AFC Championship game is controlled by the Patriots. That was the problem.
Well, it's controlled by the Patriots, but the refs the officials check them before the game.
Yeah, but each team brings their own balls.
Yes.
Yeah. This is too many references to balls. Yeah. But the other thing I would just say is that if you look up the temperature on Sunday at kickoff in the game book is 53 degrees with like 70% humidity. You look up the temperature in the game book of the 2014 AFC Championship game, 51 degrees with 70% humidity. It's almost like fifth grade science could have explained this thing all along. It's the exact same conditions. It's the exact same issue. They brought the balls out of the locker room early. The balls were sitting there. They lost air pressure, and they were underinflated. Shocker. I can't believe that's what happened.
For someone who doesn't want to talk about it, you're so passionate.
I never thought we were going to have to discuss the ideal gas law again.
Oh, my gosh. I know.
We just ignored.
That whole thing.
I want a public apology from Roger Goodell and the National Football League to Tom
Brady. And from Bill Nye, who tried to say that the Patriots cheated when
No, Bill Nye was on the Patriots side.
I don't remember it that way.
I think I have an axe to grind with him. I don't know. Yeah. No, I think he was more Bill. He was more Bill.
Bill Nye was definitely on the Patriots side. He was explaining the ideal gas law to people.
I'm going to be on Team Alex on this one, Evan. I think I don't know. I think and I know what you're trying to say, but I think he came out against Bill, saying Bill's explanation didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's different.
He's not Mona Lisa DeVito.
He's not even a real scientist.
He did a whole. Bill Nye's whole thing was explaining 101 what the ideal gas law was, which is what explains the night of the 2014 AFC Championship game. So I don't know how we're anti-Bill Nye.
Okay, I'm sorry we brought it up. I'm sorry. Anyway, that was just a little thing that came up after the game. But it was the Patriots that reported this, by the way, right?
Yeah, well, I'd like to hear. I mean, as Evan said, I'd like to hear from the Chiefs too if this was,
right.
a big problem.
Well, in the locker room, I wasn't in their post game, but was Chad and Bryce, and were they visibly upset?
Yeah, they were upset about something. That's sort of what made Mark Daniels, I think, start poking around, and maybe one of them told him off the record that this is what happened, and so he went and talked to some more people about it.
Yeah, it was just, I don't want to get into it, but yeah, Bill Nye, after Bill Belichick came out, said what he said didn't make any sense. Nye told ABC News of Bill, refuted the coach's names. We don't need to get into it, but that's what I was thinking.
I think we were just making different points.
Yeah.
Right.
Bill Nye's a Colts fan.
Man,
we don't have to get into it.
Real quick though, that just ruined it. You've been trying to get back to the Super Bowl since 2011. They beat the Colts. They hammer them. We've all seen the clip of Edelman and Gronk laughing their ass off about it now, of how ridiculous it was. But you're excited. You're like, oh man, we're finally gonna go back after a few years, and this is the first thing that came out. And being on the West Coast, I think it was a late game, but it was still early out there, so. All of a sudden you saw the Bob Kravitz, was that who it was from the Indianapolis?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, whoa, no, here we go again. And then, you spend the whole week dealing with all this
I think if it was week 2 of the season, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But it was the week before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, week 2 would have been hot, and the ball wouldn't have.
Well, yeah. But I'm just saying. Yeah.
It would have been too hard.
Anyway, all right.
Let's move on.
Yeah. What else? What else do we have to talk about? Because I know people don't want to talk about the game.
Yeah. People don't want to talk about winning the game.
But let's talk about one of your. I often do this on Thursday. One of your roundtable questions. Yeah. Worst and best memories playing in Denver.
Yeah. Sorry I don't know. I know it's probably a deep dive for Alex and Tamara because we've been doing these guys forever. But we threw it out there.
Yeah.
Worst memory. Harper's Muff. I think that 2015 season they were doing great.
That's your worst memory in Denver?
I don't know.
I'm surprised by that.
Well, mine was the same year, but it was the AFC
Championship.
In 2015. It was just such a frustrating game because Brady was getting his head beaten in.
Yep.
As I recall, the offense was hurt, really you were down to James. Who was it? James at the time.
James White got a ton of targets.
Yeah, James
didn't
White
do
and
much.
Gronk, right?
Yeah.
And they just couldn't get anything going. And then finally that last drive, Gronk just was a man possessed.
Superhuman.
Went down the field. They get within 2. They go for the 2. Brady looks to Edelman, and Gronk was open. If he had just looked the other way, he would have had a wide open Gronk, believe it or not, after that drive. And it was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
But it was just a frustrating game,
There's a lot of them though. I mean, there's Shannon Sharp. We're killing the Patriots. I mean, the reason I brought up, and you're right. I mean, they lost 2 FC championships there, and it's hard to say that a regular season game was worse than that. And I was just kind of going off the cuff there. But I will say that everything was going great until that Harper's muff. I mean,
they were 10-0,
and had they won that game, they probably would have been playing then that AFC Championship in New England,
right.
And it just kind of felt like, so you don't always have a moment during a season where you felt this is where it all went wrong. And
they went in 10-0, and then they lost 4 of their last 6 games.
And it just broke them for some reason.
Yeah.
So I
guess I chalked that season up to Deion Lewis getting hurt.
Yeah.
Deion Lewis never gets hurt.
Too.
Their offense was unstoppable. But my worst memory by far is 2005 divisional round. I mean, it's not even close.
That's a great one.
I had never experienced losing before as a Patriots
No.
fan. I was only 8 or 9 years old when they Brady took over as the quarterback. Yeah. So that was his first playoff loss. I don't even know how I woke up the next morning. I was dejected because I had no idea how to handle it. And it's a touchback. It will always be a touchback, and it's still a touchback to this day. Yeah. So that's by far. But I was trying to think of my best memory. It's kind of hard. They've lost
the comeback.
Well, the safety game, but you may have been too young for that.
But they've lost a lot of really big games in Denver.
Yeah.
So I can't really think of any good ones in Denver.
In Denver's tough. I mean, here would be the 13 comeback.
Yeah, that's what I put because I was at that game and that was a great game. And then it was fun to kill Tim Tebow, but it wasn't really that exciting. And those were both here. So
that was here, right?
Right.
These are there was a game, I think it was 0-1, where the Patriots lost. But it was a game in which they realized we can beat this team. Yeah. We only beat ourselves today, but we're a better team than Denver.
Yep.
That was an 0-1.
Yeah.
And I think they hadn't won there in a long time. And they didn't win that game, but they all came out of that game thinking, we're not that bad.
Yeah,
we can beat this team.
The one podcast we did. Yeah, a lot of those guys talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, even before the 1998, that was the first ever post-game live video streaming show. And we did that under the stands at the old Mile High Stadium.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the Hall actually tweeted this yesterday. Their record in Denver is bad overall, 11-21 in Denver all time. They lost 11 games in a row at one point in Denver, from 69 to 98. And then post 2000, they're still only 5-7 in Mile High. So they've not.
It's a house of horrors.
Yeah. It's
Rocky Horror.
It's not been great to them now.
Evan brought up the 05. I mean, that game to me, that was probably my moment of when I started kind of on this path because same thing. I was so dejected by that loss and the realization of, all right, we got Belichick and Brady. We have a finite amount of time with these two guys. How can we maximize it, And that was when I started getting into PatsFans.com message boards and blogging and starting to write about the team and develop own opinions and stuff. That loss, it was.
Me
it
too,
was
but
huge
just
impact.
in my parents' living room. And
I think there's little moments in all of those games. A lot of them were just weird games.
Yeah.
I just remember Chad Brown getting folded in half in Denver. I never saw anyone get hit. His ankles were up by his forehead. He was just literally folded in half. He got hit so hard. I remember who was the great guard that we had? Mankins on his knees in front of an offensive lineman, just hauling off and just punching him in the nuts. It wasn't even trying to hide it. He just reared back.
That sounds like Logan Mankins.
I remember Vince Wilfork going from his middle nose position all the way to the sideline to make that tackle, which was just an amazing athletic performance. And, of course, Ben Watson chasing that guy down
Champ Bailey.
Yeah, 99 yards.
Touchback.
I got a question. It's a little bit of a side, but do you feel like, and you usually go to all the games, but do you feel like you remember the games better? Like, because I get a split. Like, do you feel like you remember games better if you're there in person or if you watch them on TV? Like, sometimes I feel like I remember the away games that we watch here in the studio better because they're kind of narrated for you.
Yeah.
And the live games, it's harder to, like, because a lot of times people call in and be like, oh, the announcers pointed out this. And I'm like, we're not listening to the announcers
Right.
at these
The
games,
replay.
you know?
That happens a lot because I'm like obviously tweeting about the game and like more like the X's and O's stuff.
It
And
goes
like,
so much quicker.
and people will like tweet at me being like, well, Tony Romo said this. And I was like, well, I'm not listening to Tony Romo. So
Yeah.
I don't know what Tony Romo said. But I feel like, you know, in my house, like Patriots games as a fan was like a big deal. Like we'd have big dinners or meals with it, and lots of people would come over and things like that. So like the 2005 divisional game, like we had a packed house. Like we had like a full house. Like
Oh, man.
we had a bunch of food. Like, you know, because we thought they were just going to win another Super Bowl. Like, like what do we know? And then they lose, and like it's just, you know, I just will never forget like the room like after that game and everybody just kind of shuffling out and to go home and, you know, whatever and yeah. So I feel like I remember the games as a fan like that because I watched them, you know, mostly with my father and like my sister and like my family, and like so those do stick out a little bit more. Like
Yeah.
I miss being able to do that.
I mean, I can't think of any other place that has had that many bad things happen.
Yeah.
You know, like Baltimore.
They're in Miami. Those are the
Baltimore,
two,
we've
right?
had. Miami. That's
Yeah.
another one. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Those are the two. Those
Yeah.
are the two
Yeah.
bugaboos of you know,
Yeah.
Even in
Patriots
the-
lore. No
even
matter
in the dynasty,
right?
yeah.
No matter what team they had, those places. And I mean, are other teams like that too? Is it always
Oh,
that
yeah.
hard to play for everybody in Miami, or do
No,
I don't
but
know.
other
It's
like
weird.
every team has like that
Yeah.
thorn in the side, right? Like every team I feel like has that. But the Dolphins, I mean, the Patriots have lost to the Dolphins when they've had much better teams
Oh,
than
yeah.
Miami. Like
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
recently, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that 18 team that was
18,
I mean,
19,
they had their
like they
flaws,
lose
but-
week 17 and 19, like
Yeah.
to a terrible Miami team.
after beating them like I mean, just rolling them that week 2 here with.
but
or
that was
not
down
here,
there.
down there, but with
Yeah.
Antonio Brown.
Yep.
The Antonio Brown game.
All right, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address.
All we
TVs
have
are
is
going all
reminiscing.
crazy.
Oh, here we
behind
go.
us.
Oh,
Something's happening.
branding.
Just giving the thumbs up though. So.
Let's go to the phones because we've got to hurry. Paul's not here.
We got his picks.
So,
though.
Deuce, you're going to handle the picks?
I sure am. I got him ready to go.
And do you have what happened last week?
No, wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
No, I actually, yes, I do.
All right.
My apologies.
Because I know this is going to take a little longer than it usually
Because I'm
does.
a little slow.
Yeah.
That's okay.
We
So-
have a lot of problems with picks today because we don't have Paul, and then practice is at like 1:40 for some reason today. So
You may not get back in
I'm
time.
not going to be back in time, and I'm probably not going to be here when we normally do picks. So it's just going to be a mess.
What are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Maybe we could do picks early.
You'll have to give
I don't know.
Deuce your picks.
I'll give Deuce my picks.
Yeah.
I didn't make my picks though. Everybody's going to say I cheated.
Yeah. Let's go to the phones. The Ace Ticket hotline. Tyreek is in Charleston. Is that Charlestown
Hey,
or
guys, how
Charleston,
you
South
doing today?
Carolina? Where are you from?
I'm in Charleston.
In the Carolinas or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the Carolinas.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right.
Good to speak with you guys. I hate to bring this up, but I got two questions for you guys. Will we look back if Bill does leave this team in the offseason and say that project players were the true downfall of this organization? And the second question is if Bill does stay, will we look at this draft and say he's not going to take the consensus best pick if we have a top 10 pick?
Yeah. I mean, I would say no. I think he's missed on the layup, the high end guys. It's not the projects that's hurt them. It's been missing on first round draft picks and on the talented guys of just those. That's the core that's supposed to be here. Not, you know, I think it's fine to take flyers on guys, and I'm sure that there's been some, you know, that some earlier developed better than those later. But to me, it's like you look at their first and second round picks going back to 2015, 2016. That tonnage of all those misses building on each other, and now we're sitting here without a core. We don't really have many star players. That to me is the biggest issue.
Yeah, I feel like in the recent drafts, like some of their flyers on day 3 have actually been their best picks, like
Yeah.
Mike Onwenu.
Yeah,
probably,
there you go.
Pop Douglas this year is probably their best rookie. They've they've actually hit on a few of those types of guys. I agree with Deuce that it's the top of the roster guys. Cole Strange. It's Mac Jones. Unfortunately, now is looking like one of those misses. So
Isaiah Wynn.
Yeah, like those are the picks that have been killing them. But it's just interesting though. Like I don't trust him, but I don't know about how you guys feel of like giving Bill the number 2 overall pick in the draft and giving him control of the pick again.
Yeah.
Like he's had, and I don't necessarily think that he would go and pick a UT Chattanooga guard again, but like he's probably not going to pick the sexy pick, right? Like it's not going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. It's probably going to be Olo Fashanu or something like that. And how would we all feel about that? I guess, or if him taking a defensive player, like or something like that.
Yeah.
I just wonder how it all feeds into what, we talked about what he would say, what his pitch would be to the Crafts, and essentially would be boiled down to, I don't have a quarterback. We didn't get good quarterback play. So does that, if that was the case, would that mean he had to take a quarterback or, I don't know. Maybe he goes free agency and takes a tackle.
Despite him sometimes saying, I don't know or I don't remember, he's got a photographic memory when it comes to this stuff. And I'm sure that he could sit down, with the exception of the Cowboys and the Saints game, probably tell Robert Kraft the key points in each game where they could have won or lost it, and whether it was a turnover or whatever, and show how close they were to winning some of those games. But it goes beyond that.
It does.
It goes beyond just the game.
Just like even something as simple as like this year with the special teams, like we just kind of shifted Joe Judge over there and it made no difference at all. Like those are the kind of things that like it's not just like the big pieces. It's like these little moves that haven't paid off. And, I don't want to get on Adrian Clem. I don't know, what he's dealing with. But it's just, a lot of these moves didn't work out. You weren't able to get past all the problems you had last year. And I still think last year was just the travesty. That was, that whole situation with the offense.
And then there's a lot of things that we don't even know about. Like it's kind of coming out now that, Malik Cunningham really did have a lot of guys who were wondering how come he's not playing, things like that. And
you don't remember that stuff coming out before. Like I know
that's
Sophie
the thing
Weller
about
got
this year. It just feels like not that was a leak because Sophie literally got it in locker room, but just all the leaks this year, all just the narratives coming out from unnamed sources, and it's just so different. We've never really dealt with this.
And it's because it's a 3-win season too, and it's like
that's
it's
what
just
happens.
Snowballs and it falls apart. I've said it,
circling.
to the guys. I don't really ever remember. I usually get in here about 8:15, 8:30, somewhere in there, and there's just been multiple times this year where there are guys like honking behind me to get through the gate because I'm assuming they got an 8:30 meeting and everybody, what happened to the days of first one in, last one out?
If you're on time, you're late.
Right,
Yeah.
and these are like, and I've always, this has been my schedule. I don't ever recall like, oh my gosh, there's like 6 cars just come flying into the parking lot like at 8:28, trying to get in. So it's a lot of stuff. I can't say I'm surprised. This is what you kind of expect to have happen is people start to talk, people start to get disengaged, and it slowly just kind of, he said this, so what do you say about it? And
I wonder, we talk so much, and I talk so much about like personnel and X's and O's and all this kind of stuff. Like special teams, I think is a great example of this. Like how much of that is just buy-in? Like special teams is not like you're not reinventing the wheel on special teams.
Scheme.
Right. It's just like this is what we do. This is what every other team does, and like you have to go and cover this punt. And teams that in the past with the Patriots that have had great special teams, how much of that was just because they knew that like one play on special teams could win them a Super Bowl, whereas now it's like, okay, we're 3-11. Who gives a crap about covering this kick right now?
Yeah.
And I think that those like buy-in things are maybe
there was a sense of pride.
Yeah, like that's maybe number one over all of the other stuff.
Well, I heard on one of Paul's shows this morning they were talking about
Paul on it?
No. Will you regret it if Bill goes to another team and has success? And in my opinion, no, I wouldn't, because I hope that he goes and has success. It's just not going to happen here.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not saying he's washed up, but I think that the situation here has been played out.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for him to move on. Just like in Brady's mind, it was good for him to move on.
Yeah.
You know?
It's become a common refrain that I've heard a lot, and I got to admit it kind of annoys me where everyone's like, it's just time. It's just time.
Yeah,
That's what we got into.
You know it when you see it. You know it when you see it.
But I also I don't get the regrets thing of if he goes on and wins a Super Bowl elsewhere, who cares? He's not the right coach for this
He wasn't
team.
going to do it here.
It makes you wonder though, why not? Where's the disconnect? Why did it fall apart? Why? I don't know.
Well, there'll be books written. We'll find out more down the road.
Maybe as soon as this February with the Dynasty.
That's why I have my doubts of him going on and being super successful elsewhere, though, too, is, I've been asking around the locker room a little bit about Gerard Mayo. Just what kind of coach is he? What kind, what makes him a good coach? Because if he is the next head coach of the Patriots, I want to try to know as much as I can about him. And I think a lot of players I've spoken to have said that have pointed to other situations around the league and some of these younger head coaches and how their buildings are being run. And one player mentioned to me that he has a former college teammate that plays for the Dolphins. And he said that, the stories that this guy tells him about McDaniel and how loose and how fun he is to be around, and just how just quirky he is, and just how laid back it is. He's it's not that they don't get down to business when they need to get down to business, but it's just it's easier to play for him.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of the guys talk about Gerard, is that he's a player's coach and he has that sort of pulse of I wouldn't want to be a drill sergeant either, playing for that. So I think that for better or worse, there's a lot of these modern athletes really are gearing themselves more towards the McDaniel people.
Did you see the clip that?
I was just
where he's given the talk.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought it was good, the accountability part of it. I thought to me it's a little off-putting with all the swearing.
Yep.
I don't think he needs to do that.
Yeah.
It didn't seem. To me, it was distracting when he swore.
I agree.
Otherwise, I thought it was a great message. I'm going to call really bad plays, and it's going to be on me, and I'm going to screw up. But don't get mad, don't get sad, just move on. Good play, bad play, next play.
Just some context. So this is from Hard Knocks, in-season Hard Knocks, and it's one of my favorite stuff to watch is when the coach is actually talking to the team, and McDaniel's come up and like Fred said, taking responsibility, but putting a play up and basically ripping himself on the film, which I think you respect, but I totally agree with you. I'm why is he just it's just every
other word? It's like he's trying to fit in.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's what it comes down to, I think. Yeah. Especially as the season's gone on, he's gotten so much attention this year. At this point, he kind of knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a great coach. I just, I think the interesting thing with him is, are they going to, be able to kind of change the narrative? They're well aware of what the narrative is. Do you see Tua get up and be like, "You want to say that I'm nothing without Tyreek? Say it. I don't care. I'm just here to do my job." I like how Tua handled it, but at the end of the day, you guys got to go out and win, and you're going to have to, unless you get home field, you're going to have to go into, an away stadium and win probably in kind of harsh conditions.
Against a good team.
Do you have that toughness, or are you kind of, like your coach, when everything's going great, it's great.
And then there's the test, if that keeps happening, of whether or not McDaniel's style works.
Yeah, is he just an offensive coordinator who knows how
when
to
you're
put the plays together,
when you're in front, okay, but
I just think that he mentioned McDaniel because his college teammate played for McDaniel, but he also mentioned some other of the younger coaches, D'Amico Ryans. So he said, I'm not as familiar, but that's what I've heard, just from talking to guys, friends and stuff around the league, that these younger coaches just take a much different approach to criticism, to schedule, to all of it, and I just wonder if Bill isn't going to be able to adapt to that sort of culture. It's not the way it was 20 years ago when you could be a drill sergeant with these guys, or you can get up there and rip, guys in front of the entire team and have everybody be okay with that.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he did go to another team, if he didn't change up. When you're here, it's hard to change up because this is who I am. I'm not going to all of a sudden become a different guy here. But when you go to a new place, it's a fresh start, and maybe you can adjust a little bit better. Yeah. With this new team and new players.
Yeah.
What I always wonder with Hard Knocks, did you see the clip of him saying one play drive?
No.
So he's on the sideline as before Jalen Waddle's touchdown this past week, and Tyreek is standing in street clothes on the sideline, and McDaniel goes up to Tyreek and he's like, I just got a feeling that this is going to be a one play drive. Like or that, and then he just looks at him and he just goes, I just have a feeling like that Waddle's this is gonna just be a touchdown to Waddle.
Yeah, what did he say? He's like, I'm manifesting.
Yeah, and then the very next play, 60-yard touchdown to Jalen Waddle. So like, was that editing? Like, did they like?
Well, that NFL Films does that a lot.
Right. So did they clip that from like a different part of the game, and then it just happened?
It seems like McDaniel humor to like kind of put that in play. You know what I mean? Like he's like the next like after it happened, he would record that to let them to give it to him.
Yeah, but if it. Because like Waddle just runs by his guy. It's not like it was like some like dressed up play or something like that. So.
Well, to that point. I mean, and I've mentioned this to you guys a little bit as we've talked about. You know, we all hope that if they get a new coach, that it's going to be somebody offensive, and that he's going to be able to pick a quarterback and be his guy. But is there something just to be said for the guys like DeMeco Ryans or maybe someone like Jerod Mayo, who maybe necessarily isn't an offensive guru, but it's just a guy that people want to follow, and that that they're gonna buy what he's selling, and sure, we'd love to have the offensive whiz, but I don't think that this means like that every NFL team now needs to have an offensive head coach. I think maybe he is, but maybe he's also a defensive guy like Ryans, or you're seeing a little bit with Antonio Pierce. I know that's a weird situation with the Raiders, and it's kind of the inmates running the asylum right now, but you see these guys react to those coaches, and that they're going to go out and play hard for them. And I think that is probably the biggest thing, rather than, hey, we've got the best. You can have the best scheme, but if your guys aren't going to play for you, it's not going to matter because they're not going to execute.
Yeah.
I mean, Al from Wisconsin says the thing that sticks with me from McDaniel is actually when they were blowing someone out and the backup quarterback throws a pick, McDaniel then goes up to him and says, hey, man, that's on me. I called a bad play. I couldn't see Bill doing that in 1,000 years.
I agree with that.
No, and I mean, when you read between the lines a little bit, I mean, I know Jalen Mills had like a tweet like last week about like it's amazing what happens when your coaches believe in you, and I just, I wonder what. I mean, everybody's always said, anybody that's played in this building has said it's really hard here, and you really have to be into football, and I just wonder as time has progressed if there's. Because I do think there are still some guys that appreciate that. Like, I think Jabril Peppers is, like, fine. He doesn't need a pat on the back. He wants somebody who's going to, get him motivated and tell him what needs to be done. And, but I just wonder if it shifted a little bit. And now there's a more majority of players who are like, I just wish Coach was nice to me, and then I'd play hard for him.
I know. But like, like saying I called a bad play, but we won, is – but if you start losing a lot, then
me again, guys. Me again.
Like Coach, you can't do that
killing
every
us,
week.
Coach.
You can't do. So it's a fine line, and I think at the bottom line for a head coach is they have to be true to themselves and honest. They can't
100%.
They can't be
performing right through it.
They have to be themselves because people see right through that.
But so the Jets were on Hard Knocks at the normal time in the summertime, and like Robert Saleh came off a little bit performative too. Yep. So I wonder how much of that is just editing, and they know they're on
cameras
camera.
Being
and
right. You can't help but change a little bit when cameras are on.
Yeah. But I was talking to
my problem is I don't change
to Jabril about Jerod Mayo too, and he said that like the two things that he looks at for in a head coach are great motivator and great teacher. Like those are the two big things. And like to your point, he didn't say like great X's and O's guy, right? Like he didn't say, great schemer, great game planner. So maybe the best motivator and teacher is not an offensive coach. Like maybe that is Jerod Mayo. Maybe that is,
Well,
it could be.
Parcells told me, coaching is teaching. That's what it is.
I mean, clearly, Kyle Shanahan, I would say, has both. It seems Sean McVay, for a while at least, I mean, his guys all really, seem to play for him. And I think just, part of it is the next generation of younger coaches that, I mean, they can't help it. I mean, Bill is my dad's age, it's going to be different.
And I think Bill is probably his best trait is his ability to teach the game. Like I think that's what really
digestible bits.
I wish that we could like showcase that more because that's by far like what he's the best at, which is why I think he's been so good, like more than any of the other stuff.
I tell this story all the time when he came in '96 as a defensive assistant for Parcells, and it was we're at training camp in Bryant, and Lawyer Malloy was holding court, and he said, "This guy's a genius," and he just met him because the way he makes it so easy to understand, he's a genius.
Yeah,
and that always stuck with me. Like
Lawyer
Malloy was a guy.
Genius?
Yeah, Lawyer Malloy was a guy who always spoke his mind.
Yeah,
like if you cut a guy and he didn't like it, he'd circle back
or
and
cut him.
Yeah, and tell you so. But like that stuck with me, and I've heard it from a lot of players since, that you understand what you have to do when you play for Bill Belichick. He makes it very clear to you what your responsibility is and what the expectation is for you.
And he's going to be honest with you.
And then it's up to you to do it.
Yeah. He's going to be honest with you too.
Yeah.
That's part of it. I don't know. I always balked at the genius thing. I mean, it's interesting hearing it come from Lawyer Malloy's mouth, but I think some of it was Bill was unfairly saddled with he's a genius. And
well, his own dad said genius. All you do is walk up and down the sideline. That's his father.
Right. Well, and that's the standard that I think some people hold him to. And it's he's just a football coach.
Well, I think within the confines of football, he's a genius.
Yeah.
He's a football.
No, he understands
his
everything.
IQ for football is out of this world.
Yeah.
And I think overall he's a really, really intelligent person.
Oh yeah.
He's a smart guy.
Well, you see with the history, I think that's as close as you really get consistently. Other than, as I brought up a billion times, the 09 doc, where you actually got to see film of Bill talking to the team, and there's no filter. It's everything we hear through the media is filtered, and I understand and I respect that. But it's cool when you hear about what buttons he's actually trying to push, showing old boxing matches or old horse races, or all those different kind of techniques that I really just enjoy.
Shackleton's
that part
adventure.
Of Shackleton. I mean, those are the things that I really enjoy about the coaching profession, and just trying to get. I mean, this is how I always put it. I have 1 year coaching club hockey, but it's really hard to get a bunch of individuals to play together the way you want them as a team. It's you don't know what buttons to push. Kids are in line, out of line. You don't know, and it's a really, really hard job to do. And I respect those who do it.
All right, let's get back to the phones. Let's go to Arthur in New York. What's up, Arthur?
How's it going, guys?
Okay.
First thing I wanted to say was I think Belichick hit an absolute home run with the special teams this year. Behringer is, I think I just saw leading the Pro Bowl vote, and Ryland, absolute home run, as he's got us in the top 3 for a draft pick. And I absolutely love Jaden Daniels. And when you ask anybody what's the big knock on Jaden Daniels, they say he's too skinny. He's 6'3", 180 pounds. Well, I say if that's the biggest knock on him, then that's like someone saying on their job application, oh, my worst thing is that I work too hard. Literally, and he can gain 20 pounds. That's not the end of the world. He ran for over 2,000 yards the last 2 seasons and 21 touchdowns. So even if this guy couldn't throw the ball at all, he is by far the best rusher in the draft, and that is not a debate. By far the best rusher in the draft. He throws a beautiful deep ball. He's going to have a Zach Wilson-like pro day where everyone's like, oh, my God, this guy can absolutely hit these 60-yard bombs down the field. He threw 72% completion this year, and he was throwing it deep down the field. He wasn't Bo Nix in the Oregon offense who was throwing 40% screens behind the line of scrimmage. He was throwing it consistently down the field. His completion percentage has gone up 3 straight seasons. He has elite pocket presence. He knows exactly when to run, exactly when to hang in there and make a throw.
Are you his agent?
No.
Where do you think he's going to go? I'm curious. Where do you think he's going to go in the draft?
I think every year there's a quarterback that rises late that people aren't expecting. I think he could go as high as number 1.
Ooh.
I'm being serious. I think he could go as high as number 1. Just look at him at 18 years old as a true freshman at Arizona State.
I mean, it was 10 years ago.
17 touchdowns
in college for 7
and 2 interceptions. He was electric as an 18-year-old freshman. And if you look at the quarterbacks taken the last 5 years, Brock Purdy in 2022 was the last quarterback taken. The only time really was 2021 where Trevor Lawrence was picked first, and we got left with Mac and Justin Fields and Zach Wilson, where the number 1 guy actually ended up being the best quarterback. In 2020, Jalen Hurts was the 5th quarterback taken. Justin Herbert was the 3rd quarterback taken. 2019, Kyler Murray was the 1st quarterback. Look what he's turned into. In 2017, they took Mitch Trubisky over Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. In 2016, Dak was the 8th quarterback taken. So I see these people on Twitter when I'm saying I think Jaden Daniels should go first, and they're calling me the idiot.
Who's calling you an idiot?
Called you an idiot. Caleb Williams is the guy. Well, you don't know that.
Thanks for the passion, Arthur. No, I'm intrigued by him. I've said it a long time ago. I'm intrigued by Jaden Daniels.
I'd love to fall in love with one of these quarterbacks, and I mean, I'm just starting to dip my toe in a little bit here. It's well, we all know what I do with the Jaguars, but when I talk about these guys, I want to come from a place of where I don't want to just read what someone else wrote and spit it back to somebody. I want to actually, but I hope I could develop that kind of passion. I throw it kind of to Evan of, is Jaden Daniels the kind of quarterback that's going to fall in that kind of middle area between the Patriots' first 2 picks, where maybe it doesn't quite make sense to take him at second, unless you love him as much as he does.
If you love him, it doesn't
But-
matter.
right,
Just
right.
take him first overall if you love him.
Yeah,
you know.
But if there's some questions, is it the kind of thing where, well, we don't really want him at 2, but he's going to be gone by 33.
So yeah,
No, but when it comes to quarterback,
34.
if you like the guy, where you take him shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's never too soon to take the quarterback you love.
But what if you felt like, look, we could put Joe Alt at left tackle. He's day 1 starter. He's there. With Daniels, though, it's going to take some time. It's going to take. We might not even have him the first year. I'm just speculating. I don't know.
Yep.
But like that's where I'm kind of coming from.
Well, then you don't love him.
Like it's hard to.
Then you don't love him.
But we think but he's got all the tools, Fred. If we could just get him, put 40 pounds on.
So I
get his wrist thicker.
I'm not quite as passionate about it as Arthur is, but Lamar Jackson's my favorite player in the league. I love Lamar Jackson, and I think Jaden Daniels is the closest thing I've seen to Lamar since Lamar at Louisville. Like, he is that dynamic. I think that because Arthur laid out all the positives about Jaden Daniels, I don't really need to go down that road. I think the negatives with his game, the size matters because he's going to have to take a beating in the NFL, and is he going to be able to stay healthy? That's a factor. Like, you have to factor that into
especially where
everything.
we're at with the O-line.
Yeah, and if he's going to run as much as he's going to have to run, because that's his skill set. Like, you can't take away his superpower and make him a pocket passer.
And if he puts on the weight you want him to put on, which one is so much easier said than done, is he the same runner?
Right.
I'm not interested in him putting on any weight. Because I don't want to take away anything from what he's good at. Yeah. So what Lamar's been able to do, and he's gotten hurt. Like, Lamar has not necessarily been able to sustain it either. But Lamar is pretty good at knowing when the journey is over, right? Like, and knowing, like, all right, I'm just going to slide down, or I'm going to run out of bounds, and I'm going to avoid the hits. And he's pretty good at that. And I think that's something that you're going to have to develop if you're Jaden Daniels. I think the couple things that, one, I disagree with him that he knows when to run and he knows when to stay in the pocket. He takes off a little bit too much for my liking. I think that he's going to have to learn to sit in the pocket a little bit more in the NFL. Number 2, when he gets to some of these more sophisticated defenses, he's had trouble with post-snap processing. Like, and they change the picture on him, and it starts as single high, and then it becomes too high, and that's what NFL defenses do. The NFL defenses aren't stagnant. They're constantly moving around. They're constantly disguising. How is he going to handle those kinds of things? Florida State got him on that. Alabama got him on that a little bit. So those are some of the things that people are looking at as, like, quote unquote knocks, but he's a first round pick in my book. Like, he's going to be a first round pick. I think you're crazy if you let him fall out of the first round as a league. And the league was crazy that they let Lamar go as late as he did. Like, Lamar should have been much higher. And I just look at Jaden Daniels and say we're that much further along now in terms of evaluating quarterbacks.
The thing about Lamar was teams were just afraid that, if we're going to get him, we got to change our offense, because very few teams had an offense that suited Lamar Jackson. I give Harbaugh a ton of credit for doing that. How much would a team like the Patriots or, most other teams have to change their offense if they pick Daniels?
Quite a bit, but I think that, just to play it out with the Patriots, like, if Bill O'Brien is here next year, how much different does it need to be than the Deshaun Watson offense in Houston, right? Like, I don't know if it needs to be significantly different in terms of that offense, but that's a lot different than the offense that they're running right now. I just think that when you look at, like, prospects in general with quarterbacks, especially, like, you want to have an elite trait. Like, you want to have something that makes this guy special. And Jaden Daniels, no doubt about it, his mobility is special. Like, that is a special trait that he has as a playmaker, and I think the rest of it you could probably figure out. Like, I think he's going to be able to figure it out.
Why is Caleb Williams considered better than him?
Just like a more natural passer. Like, it doesn't look, his throwing motion, his ability to read defenses, his ability to win in the pocket. Just a little bit more of a natural thrower, probably a little bit more natural arm talent too.
Okay.
But I like Daniels a lot. I do. Not as much as Arthur, but
let's go to Mark in Connecticut. What's up, Mark?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.
I have a thought here. All right. If I'm the GM, this is what I'm going to do. Gerard Mayo is going to run the helm. I'm going to bring in Kirk Cousins as my quarterback. I'm going to add T. Higgins as my wide receiver. I'm going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. So now you have 2 number ones. I'm going to re-sign Kendrick Bourne. I'm going to sign Hunter Henry, and I'll draft a tight end or pick up another free agent. I'm going to draft 2 tight ends. 2 offensive linemen to shore up the line. Maybe a running back as well in there. What are you guys' thoughts on?
So you're going
that?
heavy on offense.
Yeah.
Damn the torpedoes.
Well, their defense is back.
I don't disagree with the heavy offense approach. Like, I have no time for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
But other than that, obviously, I think some of that is not going to happen. Simply, they're not drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. and paying T. Higgins $25 million a year. Like, I just, unless they are run by somebody completely different that has nothing to do with Bill Belichick and has never learned a thing from Bill Belichick in his life, they're not going to spend 2 premium assets on receivers. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, but in terms of money.
But that's what you need, though.
Yeah, in terms of money, in 4 years, maybe you don't re-sign T. Higgins, and Marvin Harrison is great, and then you draft another.
I just don't think that. I just don't think that they would allocate their resources that way. I think it's too much into one position.
I think you undervalue the offensive line. I don't think you just pick up 2 tackle starters as rookies. And and we've seen Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson.
In the past, they've shored up the offensive line through free agency. Veteran guys that they bring in, and these guys.
Yeah, but I think these left tackles, though, this is I need somebody in place there, and I'm not going to make the case for Alton, and I don't generally overall disagree. I think those are the kind of moves they have to make. I'm with Evan though on Kirk Cousins. I'd rather go with somebody that like Jacoby Brissett, who we know is not going to be the starter. We're not going to pay him like the starter. He's keeping the seat warm until whatever rookie we have is ready. And I don't want to pay Kirk Cousins to be average Kirk Cousins, and I got to pay him, $20-25 million, and he's coming off an injury, and I've already seen him with an elite weapon, and it was fine. It's just there's nothing intriguing about that. At best, he maybe gets back to a level he's been at with the Vikings, which is kind of what Mac was in 2021. At best, they're
last year's Vikings.
Right.
So he's too. Are you saying that he's too much to pay to be a bridge quarterback? Because I don't think he's going to take you to the promised land.
No. Yeah, basically. I'd rather just put somebody that there's no illusion that we're hoping. Like if you sign Kirk Cousins, I think the message is we kind of think he could do something for us. We're going to pay him kind of like that, and he's kind of the starter now. I'd probably, and this is assuming you get a first-round quarterback in some capacity, whether it's that second pick or you trade back up into the first round to get, maybe somebody like Daniels if that kind of thing lined up. But, keep the seat warm, but we're not under any illusion of what's
let's just say that this is the year that Rodgers is available. Is this the year that you draft Marvin Harrison and bring Aaron Rodgers in and maybe go for it? Or
without Belichick?
Well, who cares who the head coach is?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that made sense last year with like a last hurrah for Bill to try to get back on track and to try to get one last just good season, double-digit wins.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is there a scenario in which you're taking Harrison and bringing in a quarterback who can win it for you now?
Do you think Kyler Murray can win it for you now?
I kind of am intrigued by Kyler Murray.
I've just never been a fan.
No, but at least like
He's
the
too
thing
hot
is
and cold,
and that's fine. Like, and I know you'd have to pay him, probably more than even Kirk Cousins. But there's just something intriguing and fun about him that. And if we're not under the illusion that this is the guy that we're going to, and that I don't know, it's the only one that he has some potential. I still feel like, and he's small and it's kind of funny, but I just think of like from an entertainment standpoint, I would be like, oh, we signed Kyler Murray. Like I'm interested to camp. If we sign Kirk Cousins, I'm like, I could care less about watching Kirk Cousins in training camp.
He's like the ultimate purgatory quarterback.
I know.
He's like, it's basically
he's that guy right now. Like it's just Kirk Cousins. That's we all know what we're talking about.
I don't know. I know this is gonna upset some people. I'm like not really on the Marvin Harrison Jr. train. I just think that you're too far away to be drafting the shiny toy. Like, okay, so you're gonna draft Marvin Harrison Jr. second overall. He's not gonna have a quarterback to throw him the ball. He's not going to have an offensive line to protect the quarterback who can't throw him the ball. And he's going to be down the field like Garrett Wilson with his hands up in the air like I'm wide open and there's not going to be a football. And so like where does that ultimately he's an incredibly talented player, and he's going to be great in the NFL, I'm sure. But I just don't know if right now, I think that I still kind of subscribe to the old school thought of like the receiver is the last thing that you do. Like, you got to build up the line, you got to get the quarterback, and when you have it all ready to go, that's when you drop in Tyreek Hill. That's when you drop in A.J. Brown. If you do it out of order, then I think you're going to have Garrett Wilson, who's just always open but has no quarterback to get him the football.
And I think those things you said point towards the argument for taking a left tackle. I mean, to take, Fashanu or Joe Alt, who are, two guys.
There's a really,
like,
people aren't going to like it.
No.
But there's a really, really good argument for taking one of the tackles. Like, it's just.
If you're realistic about where this team is right now, as a 3-win team, the worst team in the AFC, that we're not going back to the playoffs next year, that we need to build this brick by brick. What has been one of the biggest pieces missing? And of course, we all know the quarterback, but I'd say left tackle. Like, that's a big
even
piece
with
of
the
it.
second or third pick, let's just say you take that tackle.
Yeah.
Let's say you take Joe Alt.
Yep.
Who do you pick at the top of the second? What position do you pick at the top of the second?
I mean, I talk about trading back up to get a quarterback. I think that would, for me, would be the move. And that's why I was kind of trying to line things up on Daniels. But I mean, I don't see how they can get out of at least day 2 without drafting a quarterback this year. I don't know how they can do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be second overall. But I mean, and again, my philosophy: you draft a quarterback every year. Every year you should draft a quarterback. But I think it's just hard to see. And again, I'd like to fall in love with one of these guys. I'd love to just be like, I know he's got some warts, but this is, and I mean, the other thing that like part of my process is like watching interviews with these guys. I want to hear them talk. I want to hear what kind of people they are. I think that tells you a lot. It's almost like a job interview.
So if you're okay with taking a tackle in the first round, do you trade down to like maybe 6th, pick up one of these guys then,
maybe,
and then come up, have an extra pick?
I don't hate it
to work with.
I mean, I just think, again, Fred, like that to me is like just this is a 3-win football team. This is a team that badly needs talent in a number of areas, and I'm 100% with Evan on the thinking that we're just going to plug a wide receiver in here. By the time you're ready to actually play with Marvin Harrison Jr., you're going to have to give him a new contract and pay him through the nose for hopefully, because he's been good, but it's.
I still will say, if there's a quarterback you love, take him. Just take him. And worry about the rest after. Just get that position.
I agree with that, and I still think that as well. But I just think that the tackle argument is there, and if you look across the league at the teams that are in it, they all have good offensive lines. Like all of them: San Francisco, Philadelphia, Detroit, Dallas. Like nobody has a bad offensive line among that group, and those are the teams that are all favored, to win the Super Bowl. It's
like one of those philosophical questions where, like, if you draft a tackle, I guarantee he's going to be good. But if you draft a quarterback, you got a 50-50 chance if he's going to end up like Mac or an actual player. I just think that they're in a place right now.
Yeah, but then do you ever get the quarterback?
I know. And
but like, if the guy you love is right there, you have to take him.
So do you think that, like, just to play it out, like, do you think that the Lions have any regrets whatsoever on Penny Sewell? Because I think that they are ecstatic that Penny Sewell's on their football team. I know I would be.
Right.
And like,
but that's the long-term approach. Like when they took him,
and they drafted him. They drafted a bunch of those guys on their offensive line. And they built it. Like, they slowly built up their team, and now.
But is Jared Goff? If Jared Goff's the reason where they ultimately lose in the playoffs every year, then maybe they do regret it.
But you like how the team is built.
But I don't think they regret. Like, they might regret like not having a better quarterback than Jared Goff, but that doesn't guarantee that.
Especially when they had the chance to get one.
Maybe, I don't know. But I just look at that guy move the right side of the line.
But it's such a favorable circumstance. So if they say this year, like, again, draft a quarterback every year, maybe you get another guy and he starts to put. But you got to the point where you could select Jamison Williams when you knew he wasn't even going to play for a year,
right?
Because you're taking the long approach. You're not taking the we got to get a number one right now, and like that's going to be the answer. I think that they're unfortunately going to have to be more methodical about rebuilding this team.
Well, that's going to be if that's the way they want to do it, that's going to have to be a sell job by whoever takes over this team to tell the fans, you're going to need to be patient.
Well, you got to.
We're building for the long run.
They saw this season like what it looks like when you put a quarterback in a really bad situation with coaching, protection, all of it. So it's like, are you going to take a quarterback that's not really in a great position to succeed anyways, and then maybe waste his development? Who knows? Like,
right.
just,
What is he walking into next year? I mean, and the Trent Brown comments like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like,
out.
He's got to go. He's got to go. Like, this is what you can't have. Like, people are not on board with this program. They're talking to the media now. It's getting worse. And, like, it's just I respect. I mean, I know Paul, never really thinks Trent Brown's good. But, like, when he plays, he's good. But we got to get off that roller coaster. We got to find
he's good
a
when he wants to be.
solid, reliable tackle. In a perfect world, it's like Trent Williams, who is – setting the tone. Like, everyone's terrified of our left tackle. Like, what's it like to go into a game like that?
Talk about an argument to take Joe Alt. Best player in football.
Whereas we go into a game and we're like, well, we don't know if he's going to, A, be healthy, or B, even if he plays, we're not sure today if he's going to be engaged, or, is this going to be a good game from him? Is it not? They've tried long enough to push the right buttons and to give him the right money to get that performance out of him, but and now he's
I'm at the point now where, like, obviously the last 3 games of the season, wins, losses, like, don't necessarily matter. In fact, they probably rooting them to lose. Like, I'd rather them play Vidarian Lowe at left tackle and shut Trent Brown down. 100%. I don't want Trent Brown playing another snap for this football team. Like, that guy,
especially after yesterday,
is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, so a couple of weeks ago, you say that you're the best offensive player on the team, which, like, may be true, okay, like, when you care. But then you don't even care to go on the trip to Germany. You stay home from Germany. Now, all of a sudden, you got 16 injuries listed on the injury report because you need multiple excuses not to show up to work and play. And then you don't play, and then you go and you sound off about a practice squad quarterback who may or may not even play a down in the NFL as a starter.
Ever.
And we're supposed to, like, have your back. Like, you're one of our guys. Like,
And the thing is, they've had his back.
Yeah.
They've given him more chances. I mean, what's it going to be like?
He frustrates me because, unlike Paul, I do think he's good.
That's where I'm coming from.
But his attitude is awful.
Only Dante Scarnecchia can get that out of him.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's the only person that
Dante
he
and Tom.
fears and wants to play for. Tom, sure, yeah.
That's where I'm coming from with it, as somebody that has defended his tape and said that, like, when he's out there and he's locked in, he has played good football this year for them earlier this year, but his attitude is part of the problem with the bigger picture of the team.
Patty's in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Patty.
Brady, that time of year. I just want to say, not to get not to get hit on the field or anything, but you know how I feel about you. You're the king of all Patriots media, and I just got to say before I get to my point that I think this iteration of the flagship show is far and away the best.
Without Paul, you mean?
Adding
Without Paul?
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's great that Paul's still around. Love it when you guys get into it still. Mike, Evan, Alex, Tamara, all the additions you made. You guys, you're a powerhouse. And
thank you, Patty.
I love you guys.
Again, all the letters go to Robert Kraft at One Patriot Place. Yeah.
Hey, I advocate for you, all right?
Okay.
To bump up your pay.
All right.
But I want to make a plea to all Patriots fans, too, that may attend the last game of the season against the Jets. It's a pretty much, in my opinion, foregone conclusion Belichick's gone. If it's made known to the public at that time, regardless of what happens, I hope the fans are classy enough to show him the respect that he's earned over the last 24 years, regardless of whether they win like 13-10 or if they get blown out somehow, that they show him the respect, give him the standing ovation. And that's all I got, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Let's go, baby.
Thanks, Patty. I think regardless of whether it's made known, I think people will assume and they will give him a good send-off.
It's kind of like the Titans game a little bit there with Brady.
Yeah. I hope so, too, though, to Patty's point. Like, I do hope that – because there are going to be some of those a-holes, that will want to boo because of the state of the team currently. But, like, we got to see the bigger picture.
Right,
right.
You thank him.
So the question I would never ask Bill, but this has really been on my mind, and you guys will laugh at me, and it's totally fine. I am the Bill Belichick wardrobe. I am the Bill Belichick wardrobe guy. But honestly, like, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's in my brain of, like, why this year in every press conference is he suddenly in a button-down shirt? Like, I mean, for 20 however many years – He was always just in a crummy sweatshirt or whatever he happened to be wearing, Patriots, windbreaker, polo, whatever. No, I wouldn't say polo. He's not naming him polo. But, like, this year, every press conference, he's in a button-down shirt. He's dressed nice.
But yet still in, like, flip-flops more often than
the
not. So it's not like he's going all the way with it.
The flip-flop thing is wild to me. Like, toes out. Like, come on, man.
It's not a good
No
look.
Shoes Nation. But I don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things where, like, we should have known all along. Like, he knew this was his last year, and he's dressing up, and he wanted, like, I don't get it. Like, we talk about, it's like, Bill doesn't change, he's set in his ways, and I'm like, but he really did this year. Like, he would have gone up there. I mean, it's infamous of, like, the crappy sweatshirts he'd be wearing, and, like, all of a sudden, this year, he's dressed up every single time. Button-down shirt, rolled up sleeves, every time. So it's weird. I know I'm the only person who cares, and I did say in a meeting, I'm like, if Bill leaves, like, let's just make sure we get those hoodies. Those go thrown out. I'm gonna be pissed.
We were talking about this a little bit on Catch 22 because, in 2019, I was a young buck. I was in my second year on the beat.
Buck.
I didn't know what I was doing, right? And not that I know what I'm doing now. and I was naive. Like I said, like, timely, I still believed in Santa Claus. Like, I thought there was no way that Tom Brady was ever going to play for a different team. And we went through that entire season, and I ignored all these warning signs that this was his last year. And I remember, looking back on it once he did sign with Tampa, him at the press conference after the loss to the Titans. That was the first locker room of a playoff loss I had been in, because the year before they won the Super Bowl. And he was, like, relieved and, like, a little bit, like, he was smiling and, like, was, like, happy. And I was like, this is not like, Tom Brady after a playoff loss used to be like, you just, like, killed his kid, right? Like, this is what's going on. And looking back on it, he was probably was relieved, like, finally it's over, like, I can move on or whatever. So I agree with you that I'm trying to, like, antennas are up more now for little things about Bill's behavior and his answers and the way he handles himself, that maybe there are signs that it's over.
There's so much other stuff though that's not changed at all. Like, in a lot of these press conferences, it's the same Bill. Like, the Wednesday press conference.
You wouldn't know it.
You have no idea. And then he's always happy on Friday too, like, except for Jet Suite.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, more calls and emails. We'll do the picks. We got to hurry, so we'll talk to you after this.
New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS, only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon.
This holiday, trade in any iPhone in any condition for the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium, Apple TV 4K, and 6 months of Apple One. All on us with Unlimited Ultimate. Go to your local Verizon store now. 6 months of Apple One, then $10 per month. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on Unlimited Ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Apple TV 4K and Apple One offers require eligible phone purchase with activation on Unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Visit Verizon.com for details.
And we are back with another edition of everybody's favorite show, the PU Halftime Show. Holidays are around the corner. And gals.
And gals.
Yeah, exactly.
The girlies.
Teasing the content girlies. Okay. Christmas movies. What are the best ones? What'd you grow up with? I said earlier I'm the resident Jew, which Veronica said I'm not. So that being said, am I able to say that? I'm saying that. So that being said, I've never seen the Christmas movies. For me, it's just Die Hard, which I heard is, like, very controversial.
So you've never seen,
even
like,
watched them? Just
I've never seen
on ABC
Home
Family, 25 Days
Never
of
seen
Christmas.
the start to finish. Never seen Home Alone start to finish.
like Santa Claus.
Seen that one.
Okay.
But, like, what are your favorites?
So I just rewatched Elf recently.
And thoughts?
It holds up so well. I was cracking up. I have always loved Elf. It's also just okay. So there's a part in Elf which Matisse doesn't know, but probably
I
some
might
of
have
the
seen a clip.
listeners know. Will Ferrell's character walks into his dad's office, and his dad's employees are talking amongst each other, and his father says, like, "Hi, Francisco, how are you?" And then Will Ferrell's character goes, "Francisco, that's fun to say." So if you remember back when ABC Family would do the 25 Nights of Christmas,
Sure, yeah.
I always knew when Elf was on, because probably like 45 minutes past 8 o'clock p.m. when those movies always started, I would start getting texts from just random people in my life. Never like super, super close friends, because by that point the joke was old for them, but just casual acquaintances, new friends. I would just get a text. Francisco. That's fun to say. And I don't know. I've always
It holds
taken
a spot warm in your heart.
I think Elf is just. It's a relatively newer one, and by newer I mean like early 2000s.
It's not
but
new
like,
anymore.
It's
Veronica,
just
come on.
It's such a favorite. Like I was just gonna say, I think Elf has some of those scenes that, regardless of how many times you watch them, they're still funny. And I keep going back to when he gets hit by the taxi. It makes me laugh every single time I see it. Like it's hysterical to me. But I think other than Elf, I really like the Santa Claus.
Who's in that one?
With Tim Allen.
Tim Allen,
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Those
a classic.
are good.
That's a classic.
So one of the few I have seen was it Fred Claus.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No.
That's Vince Vaughn.
That's Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn
Yes,
and
I
Paul.
have. Yes, I
I like that
have.
one. All right. So as I said earlier, what are your thoughts on Die Hard? Is that a Christmas movie?
I think it is.
Oh my God.
Really?
I've never seen Die Hard.
Wow.
You haven't seen Jaws? You haven't seen Die Hard?
No, it is a Christmas movie for sure.
Okay.
How is it not? You know.
Oh, Alex, it actually re-released in theaters for the holidays. You should go to AMC and check it out.
I watched a Christmas movie kind of in the last couple years, so it's newer and it's animated, so it's for kids. But it's one of those animated movies that are also for adults. I think adults would really like it too.
Like it like slips adult
It's
jokes
called
in.
Claws on Netflix. I think it was hopefully still on Netflix, but I watched it a couple years ago. Like, as an adult woman, I have no children. It wasn't with a niece or nephew or anything.
So wait, Matisse, you've never even seen like the little clay animation ones, like
Nope.
A Year
Oh,
Without
yeah, the
Santa Claus?
specials.
Nope.
Like
seen
Rudolph,
like clips of it. but,
Frosty.
like,
The Freeze Meister.
Nope. Like,
Yeah, the
I need
Snow Miser.
the one I need to watch
Oh, it
start
is
to
the
finish.
It's okay, I got
It's
you.
been a minute.
I saw it the
I
other
guess
night.
me and Matisse will have to watch them.
Yeah.
The Heat Miser and the Snow
You
Miser.
guys have PU halftime show homework. Is you have to watch Die Hard. I have to watch like Home Alone or
Yeah.
something like that.
I'm probably
You
not
gotta
gonna
watch the
Die Hard,
specials.
but
Oh yeah, are they on like
They're
CBS or
cute.
something?
Yeah, they're usually on ABC Family.
I have them all on VHS if you want to borrow them.
I got to dust off the VHS machine.
You know, they're cute.
Yeah,
Those ones
I
are
don't know
good.
if I have one anymore, but I have the VHSs still.
See, I used to love like the Rugrats specials or like the shows growing up,
yeah.
like just like the
Like
quick.
the SpongeBob
Yeah,
Christmas.
exactly. That's the way to do it.
Rugrats also holds up so well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rugrats in Paris.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Goat movie.
Yeah.
It really is. It really
Yeah.
is. I watched that in adulthood too.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. It was great.
But all right, so guys, one more thing before we sign off. Give me your Christmas traditions if you guys have any.
Ooh.
Like, what's a thing you and your family does all the time?
Alex and I might have the same ones because we
Veronica
come
and I
from
have similar ones. The
similar
Italian
backgrounds.
And the Portuguese.
Go for it. I wanna hear
We
it.
love to have Christmas Eve is our big night with
Okay.
family. So as long as I can remember, it's going to an aunt or a grandma's house or staying home with my parents cooking. But the big tradition is like the 7 fish dishes.
Okay.
There's 7 different dishes, all a fish dish. And yeah, I've learned the Italian soup
Yes.
too.
Yeah, we do the
Same.
exact same thing.
Got it.
Before midnight mass at midnight.
See-
we would wake
mine
up
is-
and go to.
See, I'm Jewish, but I love Christmas. It's like the coziest holiday ever. And my thing is, my mom and I always just order so much Chinese food.
I love
That's
that.
the go-to thing. That's the Bauman family tradition. Just order as much Chinese food
So
as
what do you do
want.
on New Year's Eve?
Now I just stay in and watch TV.
See, Chinese food I associate with New Year's.
I'm out on New Year's. As I've gotten older, I'm out on it. I've done it
You're
all.
still recovering from
I don't like
previous
to
New
go
Year's
out. I
is-
like to hang out casually with friends.
A house
in
party.
A living room.
I was having this
I don't
conversation
even party
with my
is
friends.
being generous.
I was
Like,
having this
I'm talking,
conversation
like,
with my
6
friends a couple
people.
weeks ago. Like house party holidays.
Mm-hmm.
I want
Halloween.
I think
New
the
Year's
one
Eve.
reason I could get out of my house for New Year's Eve and get like dressed up to go out is for a wedding. A New Year's Eve wedding is fun.
I didn't even know those existed.
I think it's the only acceptable holiday to have a wedding.
No 4th of July?
4th of July is
That's a
tough
lot.
because so many people have family traditions for the 4th
Oh, yeah.
of July and they go away. Like, I'd be devastated to miss a year of my 4th of July plans with my family.
Yeah.
But New Year's Eve,
Who
it's
cares?
kind of overrated to begin with.
Yeah.
And
expensive.
if you can't
It's
take a year
expensive,
off
yeah.
of partying with your friends to go to a wedding,
You got to reevaluate.
you probably should reevaluate your priorities.
Well, and I think everybody thinks that going out for New Year's Eve is actually better than when you get out and you realize how terrible it
And
is.
then you
Like
look
the
at the
bars
bank
are
statement.
crowded, everything's expensive. Like,
All right, guys, thank you for joining. Listeners, send your answers into webrate@patriots.com. And guys, I think we're keeping this going in the off season. So if you have any topics you want me to discuss,
we're going to get off the rails.
yeah, we're going crazy with it. So guys, thank you. Let's get back to the show.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Yes, your performance. You know, the, Performance like sexual? Excuse me? Willie. Are you saying there's something wrong with my gear? Is that what you're saying to me? I'm sorry, your gear? Willie. My stick. He's not going to say stick in front of the children, is he?
Hey, our friend that we were just talking about before we went on
Yes.
there, Mark Capello, already posted on Instagram. Get the tree down. It's over. Take the
Oh,
lights
God.
off. Turn the music
Living
off.
with
It's
him
over.
must be exhausting.
More of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are. Humbug, I tell you, humbug.
I want to thank you all for doing shows Tuesday and today. Most podcasts are putting out nothing or best of shows. The radio is putting their C team out there. No offense, Paul. As someone who has to
That's
work
tomorrow.
And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey he is. Hallelujah!
Just tuned in live for the first time ever.
Oh,
hey.
excellent.
A lot of people at home.
Christmas
Welcome
miracle.
aboard. Advantage. You know, sitting by the Yule tide and listening to PU.
Sitting by the Yule log.
Sitting by the Yule tide.
Some people are by the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not the river, though.
No.
River wouldn't have a Yule tide.
No.
Correct.
To everyone out there listening, have a Merry Christmas. That's what you celebrate.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Deuce, Evan, Alex, Fred,
I gotta
Matt
go,
in the booth.
actually.
No Paul today.
Matt
Paul's,
Teese in the booth.
Paul's on a competing station.
Yeah.
See, on
He's going up against us.
Should we prank call him?
Oh, that wouldn't be a bad
Roger
idea.
from Foxborough?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
just
funny.
don't want to be put on hold.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Perillo.
Yeah. Yeah, Pirello, you don't know nothing about football.
We all take a turn. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
He'd figure it out.
Yeah.
He's too smart. He's too wily.
Although Andy Hart got him good.
I know. I can't believe
During
that. I mean,
training
Andy,
camp.
too, because Andy's voice so distinctive. But
Yeah.
Roger and Foxborough.
Burton Island writes in, he says, you guys should seriously consider doing a version of The Good, the Bad, and the Injured on your Tuesday show.
Oh.
There's a great rap by Nas called Halftime, the beat of which they should use for the show within a show. And finally, next host of the pre- and post-game show, the answer is obvious, Evan Lazar. Evan has just left.
Oh, man. I don't think Evan would like it.
Evan's got things to do.
He
before
can't give
the
up
game.
his locker
Oh, my
room
gosh.
post-game time.
No.
Yeah.
And like me and Paul are always like rushing up after the pregame show, like grab a little food, and Evan's like got everything set up, and he's been up there like, you know, tweeting and looking through his binoculars and establishing the scene, and we're like coming in hot. I don't think he would. I don't think he would enjoy that.
Yeah. Let's go to AJ in the Bay Area on the Ace Ticket Hotline. What's up, AJ?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I just tuned in, so I'm not sure what you talked about earlier, but I've just been on social media a little bit looking at what people are saying because obviously we'll probably get a top 3 pick in the draft, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I'm just shocked at the number of people that seem to think the best idea is not to go with the quarterback. I don't know what you guys are noticing out there.
Yeah.
But, some people are saying if you put him behind a bad offensive line and he doesn't have any weapons around him, then what's the point? Let's just, build up the roster around him and then get the guy later. But I don't know when people think they're going to have as good of an opportunity as a top 3 pick to get that franchise-altering quarterback that they obviously need. And why not apply the logic the other way? Like, it's not like this, number 3 pick is the only asset they have going into next year.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll take it off the air. You guys, tell me what you think about that.
I mean, it's so critical that the Patriots get their front office in order once the season starts because someone's going to have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Some scouting staff has got to be making the decision that one of these guys is worth taking that high. Is it the current one? I don't know. if it's a totally new one, then they've got to get them in place really fast because these are critical decisions that have to be made. If
I mean, it's a blessing or a curse. You don't really know. I mean, it's the 1 year you get a top 5 pick, and here are the quarterbacks, and congratulations, they just took Caleb Williams at 1, and you're 2, and I mean, I totally get the point. I think we all do. If there's plenty. If you miss on a quarterback at 2 overall, you miss on a quarterback at 2 overall. But it's just I was kind of going back to the old school, Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf thing. What if you were the second overall pick in that draft and you're like, we love Peyton Manning, we hate Ryan Leaf, we think Ryan Leaf is going to be a bust, and we just don't believe in him. And then the Indy takes Manning, and and it's like on one hand, you're second overall. This is the consensus second overall guy. Everyone is saying that's who he is, and so you almost feel obligated to take him. But if you really truly believe that,
you got to trust your scouts.
Yeah, and if you really, it takes huge, confidence and balls to say, look, everyone says we should take Ryan Leaf right here, but knowing what we're not going to. We're going to either trade down or
that's where owners screw up. Is they look at the marketing, they look at the public opinion, and they say we got to take Ryan Leaf, and that writes their downfall right there. Because you've got to you pay these guys to scout and give you their opinion. You have to trust them.
Yeah, And if you're first overall, it's great, but. You just, we go through, the 2021 quarterbacks where, look back now. If you look back now, what you knew, like Trey Lance, Justin Fields probably still would have gone very, very high, but, it's just, it's such a hard business to project, and you don't know when you're going to get this top 5 pick, and you're just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that this is the 1 year that the second best quarterback is going to be actually really good too, and not, one of these years where it's Trevor Lawrence and the also-rans.
Right. Jeff in Brooklyn, speaking of Jaden Daniels, in an interview, he took time out to point that his coach loves him. He felt that and genuinely pointed out that the emotion made all the difference in the world in his success. So there's your modern athlete and coach relationship. I think this is the void in Bill's game. He doesn't trust his players to play. They're just tools to him. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true at all.
No,
I think it's kind of the opposite. He tries to pick guys that he does trust and that want to be coached and that he wants to coach, and I don't believe that at all. Thanks for reading my emails. And yes, from yesterday, mutinous is fair when Bill throws a fit, drafts stubbornly in order to prove a point about how great he is, and publicly chides his boss. It's just him acting out. But call it what you will. All right. Well, yeah, I think we said that his use of the word mutinous was a little strong yesterday.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still balk at people who say that Bill is purposely making decisions to spite people. Like, I still think that he's making decisions that he thinks is going to win football games, and they can be wrong, and certainly he's missed. But I just don't really buy the whole soap opera narrative of he's got this whole black book of people that he doesn't like, and I'm going to draft this guy.
I think he reads our roundup, and whatever I say he should do, he does the opposite.
Right. Well, who knows? That might work. That might work for him.
Nick in Connecticut. Evan brought up Kyler Murray last show, and it gave me an idea for a hypothetical offseason move. I'm interested in what you all would do if the teams stay where they currently are in the draft standings, Cardinals 3, Patriots 2. Would you do this trade? Patriots receive Kyler Murray, the 3rd pick, draft Marvin Harrison Jr., an offensive tackle, and a 2nd. The Cardinals get pick 2. They draft a quarterback and a 4th.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm not really on the Marvin Harrison train. I like, going back to Evan's rant, I think that you're a ways away from trying to add that piece, but I think that's intriguing, especially if somebody's wants to trade up to 2 overall, and Carroll and the Cardinals are sitting right below you, and they say, hey, here's a quarterback, and then I'd go with Kyler Murray and Joe Alt. Kyler Murray's had injury issues. I think his problem isn't getting the ball to receivers; it's staying on the field. So you'd want to protect them, and then you're able to get. Maybe you get him a weapon in the 2nd round. There's been so many good receivers in the 2nd round, and Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, those guys are all bottom of the 1st, early 2nd round guys that develop. They're out there every single year. There's 2nd round guys who are excellent players.
But their talent is evident.
Yeah.
Like, even though they were 2nd round guys, you looked at them at the combine, you looked at them what they didn't. It's just evident that these are really great athletes. Trust that.
Yeah.
Trust the film.
And that's what was so frustrating, I think, is when I think most people, amateur scouts like me who watched, Deebo Samuel, and you're like, this is your kind of guy. This guy plays the tough kind of football you want. He does everything. He'll carry the ball.
Yeah,
He's
it's like
got
we're
an
making
attitude.
it more complicated than it
and
needs
like,
to
and
be.
then like N'Keal Harry.
I mean, we talked ourselves into N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
He's the bigger
He
guy.
looks good.
Yeah, but if you looked at the film, he didn't get separation.
Yeah.
If he's not going to get separation in college, he's certainly not going to get it in the NFL. And we overlooked that.
I know.
And
then and then you tie Thornton in, who he's fast, but he's not tough physical guy. And I mean, he just gets muscled off the ball. Still, it's anything that's contested with him, he's going flying. So I don't know. It's just I think it's frustrating for people like Evan and I who do put time into this, and and especially in the spring,
you want to be a fast team, better draft fast guys.
But it's like, and you feel so stupid because you're like, I hate to say it, but I just don't see it. And I know that these are the professionals who have been in the game and have been trained by greats, and granted, I have been doing it for like 15 years now, so I guess that does count for something. But you feel stupid being like, I don't think this is the right move for them. But like in hindsight, you're like, I don't know what to say. We were right, they were wrong. I don't know.
Kyle and Pembroke, my question to you is, if you could only have one happen this season, which would you rather? The defensive system stays the same, but the offensive system stays the same as well, or have the offensive system be updated, but the defensive system changes as well?
I'd probably go number one, just because I'm not as much of I'm not as much on the train of like this offensive system is antiquated and it doesn't really work anymore. I think that can be tweaked. I don't think that anything is really set in stone with the offensive system. I like what they do on defense, but I don't really think that like what they do on defense makes them all that special. Like I just think that they have good players that play well, and that's why they're good. It's not because they have 4 safeties that they're kind of constantly rotating. Like this guy's is fine, but I think that they make a good defense even if they were running another scheme. They've got some good players on defensive side of the ball, and that's why they're good.
Robert from Tennessee, fans like Robert from Tennessee with their total loyalty to Bill are understandable. We had somebody call yesterday, very good call.
Yep.
But they have it all wrong, says Eric the Red in Mebane, North Carolina. Older fans like me and some of you have seen so many players and coaches come and go over the course of our lives. At some point, you learn that the loyalty has to be to the team, not the team member. No one knows this better than Bill, the first one to sacrifice a player or coach on the altar of winning. I will always be grateful for the years of joy he brought to his fans. I also learned from him that it's better to cut bait too soon than too late.
Yeah, it's a lot of that going on right now with 1 year too early, 1 year too late, those kind of things. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. We've had an up close look at a bad football team for a few years, and it's getting old. And as much as those wins were great, and winning the Super Bowl, 5 years ago was great. It's you gotta be honest. I mean, this team goes on after Bill Belichick. We've all known that this team's going to be around for as long as football's around, hopefully.
We do have a question about the game. Marty writes in, looking ahead to the Broncos, what do we need to take away from their offense? At the beginning of the year, I'd have to say Judy, but it seems like Cortland Sutton has surpassed him. And given how their offense has looked, are your feelings now different than in the summer about not making a move for Judy in the offseason?
I mean, now it would have just been a waste of assets. I mean, I don't think he would have made any difference. But for me, it's the big plays. I think that's what's always haunted me with Russell Wilson, and Sutton's great down the field. Bill talked about that. You saw a bunch of big plays last week, blown coverages. You're going to probably see Sean Wade and Alex Austin out there and getting a bunch of snaps. So I think for me, I'm not really too worried about the run game or, they're not that great on that side of the ball, but I just think Russell Wilson's always been real good getting the ball down the field.
Especially when the quarterback's scrambling, too. It seems like the secondary can sometimes...
Late and downs,
you
right.
get given up, and you don't think the guy's going to scramble and get the playoff, and then he does, and it's this huge explosive play, and we've seen it so much.
Russell Wilson throws such a beautiful deep ball. I mean, it's like, it's like a moon ball. I mean, it looks like it's like launching at like a 50-degree angle up, and then it just like drops down. I mean, I when I was in Seattle a couple times, or well, I guess once in 2012, saw him throw. I mean, it's uncanny how he does it.
Let's go to Eldred, North Carolina. What's up, Eldred? Eldred.
Hey, the world's greatest podcast. How y'all doing?
Thank you.
Is this a Marvin Harrison
All right.
question, Eldred?
Yeah, you're right. Dude, I wish I was there with you because you're right. You are an amateur scout. You don't watch no college football or none of that, right?
Not yet. No.
Until the last towards the end, correct?
Yeah, no. I mean, I've seen Marvin Harrison
See,
play.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I watched through the year, and I also scout years before too. But Harrison is the best player in the draft. He is. And Caleb Williams is a head case. I see Drake May in North Carolina. He got the size, he got a little speed, but as far as getting to the reads and stuff, it's a little different. But me, I know you're talking about you get a good tackle in the third round from Wisconsin. The guy on the left side, you get one there. In the fourth round, you get a right tackle from Iowa State, and he's good. It's one type that Bill like, But me, Harrison's gonna be my first pick, and I don't want Drake May. I wouldn't Caleb Williams. Second round, I'll get Michael Pena. That's your other quarterback.
Okay.
Like I said,
the lefty, right?
Him,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's a lefty, right? The Penix.
He's a lefty. He reminds you of Steve Young in a way.
Yeah.
He's accurate. You throw short, throw long, and he can run. But the one thing I like about him that they got over May and Williams, he plays in the weather. He can throw in the wind. He can throw in the rain. The other two guys can't do that. I don't see them too much to do that. May can't do that. That's why Florida State tore that butt up when we played them. So
All right.
No, I'm a Florida State guy. Jordan Travis, I hate because my quarterback fell out because he got hurt. He's going to fall down to the fourth or fifth round, and that boy's a good talent, too.
All right.
But they 6-1. But y'all have a good one.
All right.
Thanks, Eldred.
It's getting to be Eldred season.
I know. Well, I mean, I'm glad that Marvin Harrison exists for him because that we know that's what he'll be doing all year. He loves them.
He loves his wide receivers.
He's got a type. He's got a type.
We're going to get to picks. Richard in Minnesota writes in, love the show. Heard you in recent shows debating where the phrase taking the chalk came from.
Have you heard this before?
Evan doesn't let it go a year later.
I wanted to let you know it's an old horse betting term. When the odds of horses were written on a chalkboard, the odds in the favorite would change much more than the long shots due to the more bets being placed on it. So the board operator would have to erase their line many, many times to update it, and that would leave behind more chalk on the favorite than the others. Therefore, the term chalk is applied to the favorite.
Wow. All right. A little
The more
history
you know.
there. I say too. I hope just everybody's checking out Kyle Duggar mic'd up from last week, and to the point of Bill wanting robots. Interesting kind of little clip in Kyle Duggar mic'd up where he's talking about when you guys blitz, like it kind of implied that the players do have a little bit of freedom on the field. So go check out Kyle Duggar mic'd up.
Yeah, extended. I mean, it's
version.
more than the usual length of these mic'd up.
It's pretty cool. We don't get enough of these, so
Yeah.
it's good.
Good thing they used the subtitles, though. I couldn't understand half of what was being said. Yeah. All right. So it's that time of the week. Good, Matisse.
Good.
Good.
Hey. Oh wait, I gotta be ready here, don't I?
So now first, Deuce, Paul tells us what happened last week.
Well, order has been restored. I'm gonna try to do these little Paul twist on them. First, Paul, 12-4.
Oh boy.
Second, Deuce, 13-3. Nice week for Mike.
Oh no! Wait a minute. You said Paul was 12-4. You
Yeah.
were 13-3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so
Oh, no,
you're
I'm better.
first.
So you won.
Yeah, you won.
That's what I'm just like defer. I'm like, of course Paul must have won. He's so great. All right, so I won. That's right. Paul, take that. Tied in second, Alex and Evan at 11-5, and Fred 10-6.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So with the spread, however, it wasn't as close. Paul did run away with it with the spread, 10-4-2.
Oof, big week for Paul.
Then Fred 7-7-2, and then a three-way tie down the bottom, 6-8-2 for Mike, Alex, and Evan. So I'm gonna have to tell you
Season
standings. We've got Paul really does this nice, by the way. I mean, it's just it's all laid out for me. You'd think I wouldn't have messed that.
He's been doing it since he was 4 years old, making book.
Right.
I mean,
if only some of us knew 13 was more than 12. So Paul still leads 115-98 and 11. Followed. This is the season. Where's Alex? All right, Alex is Oh, God, I'm screwing this up so bad. I'm so bad. All right, let me restart this. This is just overall regular. Straight up. Alex still leads 142-82, followed by Paul, 139-85. Evan, 134-90. Deuce. Deuce is actually... I'm messing this up so bad.
Stay with us.
It's not as easy to
no,
look,
it's
son.
not.
Yeah.
It's not. I like
Yeah.
it ordered. Change that to me, 135-89. Then Evan is 134-90, and Fred 133-91. So Deuce climbing out of the basement there. Still very close. Now with the spread, I'm going to do this right this time, I promise everyone. Paul 115-98-11, followed by Alex 107-106-11. Then Evan 103-110-11. Fred 102-111-11. And Deuce 97-116-11.
Paul running away with the spread.
That was hard.
Yeah. All right. So now.
All right, we're going to just go with the odds that Paul has written here. I didn't update them or check them, so we'll just go with what it is.
because that's how he picked his game.
Yeah,
so we might as well use the same odds that he used.
All right.
That makes sense.
I guess I'll just tee it up since Morel's here, and I feel like Matisse is not ready to lay out all these lines. So
all right. So I will start.
Okay,
hold on. Tonight. This is how it works. It always works this way.
I feel like it's my first day
I
on
know
the
you're
show.
all frazzled.
We're all thrown off different
And
speeds.
so what we'll do is you first, Alex.
Okay.
You'll do Paul in the right order.
Okay.
And then I'll go.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So that we don't screw that up.
Yep.
All right. Tonight on 8:15 on Prime, it's the 7-7 Saints at the 7-7 Rams.
Rams by 4. And so I guess, do I go first? Or you
Yes,
All right,
you
I'm going to
go
go first to keep it going. Yeah, I think the Rams are pretty good with Stafford. I'm going to take
for Evan, but
we'll blast through it real quick with him. We'll do speed round. I will take the Rams both ways.
Okay. Alex?
I also took the Rams both ways.
You took them? You already prepared for this?
I did. Today I prepared because
geez.
I feel
You're
Paul.
overthinking it.
I feel Paul breathing down my neck. So this week I was like, I cannot choke.
3 games behind.
And I need to get it together. I'm gonna put a little research in today.
So Paul is also Lar.
Lar for Paul.
Yep.
Well, he loves his Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, he does.
All right, now I also will take the
You're
Rams
Lar?
both ways.
Okay.
Lar. So now 2 games on Saturday. The first one is at 4:30 on NBC. The 8-6 Bengals are at the 7-7 Steelers.
This will be Cincinnati by 2. And I am going to take Cincinnati by 2, and I'm going to lay those 2 points. So I'm going Cincinnati.
Yeah, Steelers at home usually gives me pause, but I don't know. I think they're starting to fall apart.
They are.
I don't know how Cincinnati's pulling this all together.
Jake Browning's Chuck and Duck.
Yeah, I want to say that it's going to be up this week, but I just don't have that faith in the Steelers. So I took the Bengals both ways.
All right, Cincy.
What does Paul take?
Paul is Pitt. Paul is Pitt.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought I'd be on an island
here.
here.
Alex. Pressure on that
Paul
one for you.
loves the Steelers at home, and so do I.
Usually I'm going to take the Steelers both ways as well. Bengals, I think, right now are obviously the better team. Steelers are reeling. They're falling apart. They're questioning Tomlin. They're questioning the culture. But it's a division game. These games are always tough. I think the Steelers get up for this game. I think they play hard for Tomlin. They're hearing the noise. So I'm going to go with the Steelers as well, plus the fact that I can never pick the Bengals. Saturday night at 8:30 is a game on Peacock. So
no commercials in the fourth quarter, I saw, too.
No commercials in the fourth quarter. That's pretty interesting. So this is an NBC-owned day. Peacock is obviously their streaming service. I don't know who in this room has access to Peacock. Does everyone have Peacock? Matisse,
I don't think
you have everything.
I don't think I have the paid Peacock, but I got the regular Peacock.
Yeah, everybody has Peacock.
You can turn on your mic.
It is on.
Oh,
T's got turned on.
Oh, there it is.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, everybody has Peacock. You just might not pay for the premium version.
Peacock.
Okay, and is this game on the normal Peacock?
Yeah, you can get it.
I think it's
You
on the
can get it
regular
on the
Peacock.
cock.
On the cock. Jesus Christ.
Wow. All right.
This is the same guy that in the beginning of the show was like, I'm saying balls too much.
Oh.
Way to make it
going
weird.
around the horn.
Okay, so
Buffalo by 11.5.
Buffalo 8-6. Buffalo at the 5-9 Chargers.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take Buffalo both ways. I'm gonna lay all 11.5 of those points. Miss Alex.
I'm also rallying for the Bills.
Yeah.
Buff and Evan, you can
Buff,
join the
Buff.
fray here.
Oh yeah, I didn't pick the first couple games, but I'll tell you later.
Okay.
What's this game again?
Buffalo.
Bills at
Buffalo
Chargers.
At Chargers.
11.5.
Yeah, Bills. Yeah.
Buff. Paul is Buff lack, so Paul thinks the lack is going to keep it close.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bills both ways. To me, they're the hot team. They're the hot team.
Hot stuff.
Before we move on to Sunday's games, Evan, any updates from practice?
Yes. I don't know. Do we have the song? No.
Yeah, we have to play the song.
There you go.
Evan has returned from practice. Evan has returned from practice. Yeah, Evan has returned from practice. What was the mood? Who wasn't there? What did he see?
All right. I have to say, so many people tell us about how much they love the song. So I'm just giving the people what they
There
want.
you go.
Yeah.
No, it's right for you to do so.
Yeah, it's a hit. Okay, so sorry, Deuce. Not spotted. Jarrell Peppers, Ramondre Stevenson, Connor McDermott. 2 new absences: Anthony Jennings and Cody Davis. But it's cold.
Did you
season.
mention Henry? Yeah. Is he there?
I'm getting there.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's cold season, So they weren't on the injury report yesterday, so I would imagine that maybe that's an illness situation. And tight end Hunter Henry was back at practice. Wow. But
I tell you what.
a
I give him a
warrior.
lot of credit
Me
this
too.
year.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
He's hockey tough.
But there's a but. He was at practice, but he wasn't doing very much of anything for the time that we were out there. He was in uniform. He did have practice gear on and everything, but it was very, very light participation.
If you had to put your money on whether he plays or not, what would you say?
No.
I say yes.
Yes.
Does he have any playing time in his contract?
Alex nailed it. He's hockey tough.
He is hockey tough.
Stitch him up. I would say yes
trying to get a
because
contract
I don't.
Free agent.
Yeah, if he's out there today, it signals that it was probably just like a bad bone bruise, type of hit, not like structural damage.
Like
to
Gronk
his
in
knee.
Denver in
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah, if he's spectating, I feel like it's for a reason. and-
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he plays.
Yeah. So yeah,
But he's been
that.
taking a beating for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Zappy threw him some hospital balls.
Yeah. Okay, so now we can move on to Sunday at 1 on Fox. The 8-6 Colts are at the 6-8 Falcons.
That's going to be the Falcons by 1. And I think they're making another quarterback change there in the ATL. I don't know. I'm going to go with Indy on this one. I just think they've been just cutting loose and having fun with it. So
All right.
Indy.
Evan. Colts at Falcons.
Yeah, sorry, I'm catching up here. I like the Colts in this game too. I think Steichen, coach of the year maybe, and also Philly's offense has kind of dropped off without him. So I wonder how much of he had to do with that last year in Philly. He might be a sneaky good coach.
Sneaky.
Maybe not even sneaky anymore.
Alex?
Who did you pick already?
I
with your
already
research?
did take the Colts as well.
Love this.
Both
I think
ways.
I'm worried, Alex. You might be overthinking this right now. You're actually doing research and stuff. That's when it starts
I
to
know.
go bad. But
No, I feel good. I'm taking the Colts as well, and it makes me feel better that Alex is taking it.
Paul
The
was
Falcons are just too.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to
You
get
don't.
with them.
They're the Detroit Lions of the modern day. Yeah.
Paul was Indy too, by the way.
Indy for Paul. Yep. 1 o'clock on Fox. The 6-8 Packers are at the 2-12 Panthers. Go Panthers!
Yeah,
right?
Go Panthers.
Yeah.
That's going to be Green Bay by 5. And as much as I want to pick Carolina, Green Bay is sporadic. They're a young team, but I think they got some talent, and I think they're going to knock off Carolina. I'll take Green Bay.
Yeah, I was really surprised that the Packers lost to the Bucs at home last week. That was a weird one. But I still think that offensively that Jordan Love has been playing pretty well. So I'm going to take the Packers here. I'll take them to cover. I just think that they're going to score too many points for Carolina.
Yeah, I think the Packers win. I think Panthers go back to reality this week.
What does Paul say?
Paul says Green Bay, Carolina, so Paul likes a close
I agree with Paul. I believe that the Panthers will lose, but not by more than 5.5.
Paul is the spread master.
Yep.
Like spreading mayo on his sandwich.
Spreading anything,
Yeah.
yeah. No mayo on an Italian.
1 o'clock on CBS.
When someone's not here,
The
you gotta take a
9-5 Browns are at the 8-6 Texans.
Browns by 2.5. Sounds like what's his face still in concussion protocol. You know what I'm talking about.
CJ
Stroud.
Stroud. Yeah. I'm gonna take Cleveland. I think talk about Coach of the Year candidates. They just continue to play hard. I'll take Cleveland both ways.
I am going to take the Browns both ways too. I do think the Texans will be feisty in this game though, and but 2.5 is
Yeah, it's not even a hoof.
Yeah, it's not even So I'll take the Browns.
Does that make sense?
I take the Browns both ways too.
Yeah. What does Paul say?
Paul says Clee.
Yeah, me too. That defense travels.
Yep.
Got to give him credit. 1 o'clock on Fox, the 10-4 Lions are at the 7-7 Vikings.
Lions by 3.5. We're talking a little bit about Minnesota here. Divisional battle.
Does anyone own anyone?
I would guess Minnesota generally owns Detroit because that's usually how it's gone. But I'm going to take Detroit, and I'm going to get a little wacky, a little weird, a little crazy. I'm going to take Minnesota with the hook. 3-point
What was that number again?
3.5.
So I assume this is a Nick Mullins game.
Yeah.
Nick Mullins special for the Vikings. I'm going to take the Lions both ways, though. I was pretty impressed watching them against the Broncos last week. That's not a bad Broncos team the Patriots are playing, and the Lions made them look bad. That offensive line is my dream come true. That's that's a really good offense. Lions.
Didn't they like their like guard or something? I thought the Patriots liked one of their guys.
Frank Ragnow?
Frank Ragnow, yeah, that was one.
Yeah.
Alex?
I did what Deuce did. I split it. Lions win, Vikings points.
And Paul did Detroit.
And I will do Detroit as well.
All right.
Sunday at 1 on CBS, the 4-10 Commanders are at the 5-9 Jets.
Jets by 3. Yeesh.
That's weird.
That's a weird one.
Who's quarterbacking for them? Is
I don't
it
even
still
know
Wilson?
right now. No, he's out. He's got
out?
concussion protocol too. Did you see him get crushed? He got absolutely just destroyed. I don't know. I'm gonna go Washington on this one. That's what Paul did too.
Yeah, I don't even know who's playing quarterback for the Jets. I'm trying to figure it out really quickly.
Does it matter?
I gotta say, if they lose this game to the Commanders, are we sure Robert Saleh is going to be the coach there next year? Because a lot of these other teams are winning with backup quarterbacks and being feisty and things like that. And that Jets team is terrible. At some point, you got to look at the coach.
Well, their backup was Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and the Browns have started 4 different quarterbacks and won games with all of them.
That's true.
It just at some point, I keep hearing about how great the roster is in New York, how great the roster is, and it's well, then you should be able to win some games with whoever is at quarterback. If you can win a game with DTR, if you're the Browns, I'm gonna take the Commanders in this game. I'm gonna take the upset, and I think it might be coming apart in New York. I do.
Yeah.
What's the
We
spread
can only
again?
hope.
Jets by
3.
Yeah.
What do they know?
What do they know? Yeah.
Is someone hurt on the
think they're
defense
just
or
at home. I
something
think
on
they're
their
just at home.
defense?
Well, they don't have a quarterback, and they just lost 30-0 to the Dolphins. I don't
And
know.
they're favored.
Yeah.
I don't know about Paul's numbers. Maybe I have to check them. All right.
Eek.
What do you got?
Commanders, I guess.
Oh.
Both ways, I guess.
Bringing endorsement.
I guess.
What does Paul think?
Wash.
I'm going to go Jets. I think the Commanders are having trouble too. Ron Rivera is on the hot seat. So I'm going to go Jets at home. Their defense rallies.
Both ways?
Both ways, yep.
Okay.
They cover. Sunday at 1 CBS, the 7-7 Seahawks are at the 5-9 Titans.
Whew. This is the Seahawks by 2.5. These are two Deuce favorite ancillary teams. I love the Seahawks growing up, and we all know my feeling toward Vrabel. And when worlds collide, I'm going to take Seattle. Both ways.
By the way, it would be Trevor Siemian for the Jets.
Cool. It's like your line. Cool.
Yeah. I am worried about Seattle traveling. 1 o'clock game on the East Coast. Those are always a tough spot. It sounds like Geno Smith is going to be back. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing after how Drew Lock played. I'm going to go with Seattle. I just think they're a better team, but I don't love it. But I'm going to go with Seattle.
Ask this for the spread one more time.
Seattle by 2.5. Very close.
I have Seattle both ways.
Okay,
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Paul went Tennessee both ways.
Yeah, which Titans team comes out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Seattle. I think they've been competitive all year.
Rally after last week.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. All right, now we move to the 4 o'clock games. 4:05. There's only one at 4:05. The 8-6 Jaguars are at the 7-7 Buccaneers.
They take a bus to this one. What do you think?
Yeah, right. This is Tampa Bay by 1. Yeah, kind of an interesting game. You know, two teams trying to make a case. I feel like Battle of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think they got a little mojo though in Tampa, and I'm not sure about Lawrence's health, so I'm gonna go Tampa.
Yeah, the Jags have lost 3 straight after that winning
What's up
streak.
with Trevor Lawrence right now? Any update? Or?
I think he's playing, but
but
he's playing through it.
Yeah.
Is what he's doing.
High ankle sprain.
I don't know. You know, the Jaguars are a weird team. I don't know how to pick them. I'm gonna take the Jags in this game. I just think that they're a little bit more motivated. They have bigger aspirations, so I'm gonna take the Jags.
Okay. Alex.
I have the
Feel the
Buccaneers,
pressure
but
right
it's like
now.
realistically, is Baker gonna string together that many
Right.
wins in a row?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I don't.
He's got a lot of vets around
I don't
him.
know.
This is a tough one for Fred because like Baker and Trevor, it's
those are
like two of his guys.
I know. Let Baker bake.
I've picked against the Bucs and I've been burned for it, so I guess I'll just ride with them. Buccaneers.
Wow. All right.
What does Paulie say?
Paul's Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going to
It's
go
all
with the
matters.
Jaguars in this game. I think they bounce back. Yeah, it's
I went with Baker the one time Fred didn't.
yeah.
Great.
It's
I'm
a
worried
tough
about
one.
Alex this week. I feel like she's weighing her
If
own
I
head right
implode-
now. I know. I feel it.
It's a toss-up. 4:25 on Fox. The 3-11 Cardinals are at the 5-9 Bears.
Oh, it's a top 5 game. This is Chicago by 4.
Probably the most they've been favored this year.
Yeah, what a gross game. I'm not sure. I'm gonna take Chicago, but I'm gonna split it. I'll take the AZ points and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't love taking this many upsets. I kind of want to take the Cardinals in this game because I feel like even like 45-29 against San Francisco is kind of like a win for the Cardinals. Like you didn't get completely dismantled by the Niners. But yeah, I guess the Bears and that weather dome team Cardinals. I'll take the Bears, but I'm going to take the points for the Cardinals.
I'll take the Bears outright.
Okay. And Paul took the Bears.
And as I will too. Bears. 4:25 on Fox. 10-4 Cowboys at the 10-4 Dolphins.
Okay, here we
This is
go.
gonna be
Here we go.
Miami
This
minus
is a good
1
one.
after Mike McDaniel taking all the blame and dropping F-bombs left and right. Good game though. I'm excited to watch a little bit of it. Hopefully, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with Miami at home, both ways.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a tough one because both teams play better
You
at
love
home.
Dak. You love Dak.
But is Tyreek going to play in this game? I don't think so.
What's their O-line status? with
And
that
they
too?
literally
had like 5. Their whole entire
yesterday,
starting O-line. didn't
somebody
practice
tweeted,
yesterday.
I'm sorry, I can't remember who, that just said the entire starting offensive line absent from practice. Like, didn't even name names, just said the entire starting.
Miami?
Yeah. Against Micah Parsons in Dallas. So I'm going to take Dallas, but I think mainly, they don't travel well necessarily, but this isn't a cold weather game. This is just a road game. Yeah. So I like Dallas.
It's too hot.
I kind of like Dallas to avenge last
Kinda?
week. Not really.
Are you married to it?
No, I'm not. I wrote down the Dolphins. So
Do you love it or are you in love with it?
it's settling. I'm settling.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take I'm gonna take Miami.
Miami both ways.
Oh, by the way, how was Nick's steak burrito yesterday? Was it good?
Yeah, he enjoyed it.
It's a little moldy. Miami for Paul as well.
I hate picking the Cowboys, but I have to here.
Okay.
So I am going to go with the Cowboys. Sounds like I'm going to pick up some ground on Paul this week.
You could.
We're going to skip over the Patriots.
Great game.
Sunday night, and we're going to a triple header on Christmas Day, Monday, 1 o'clock on CBS and Nickelodeon. They're going to have
this is the slime game.
alternate version game on Nickelodeon.
You guys made fun of me for the Toy Story game. It was kind of awesome.
Was it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The
Sorry.
6-8 Raiders are at the 9-5 Chiefs.
It's going to be Chiefs by 10. which is a big number. And I think, I don't know. I just wasn't all that impressed with KC last week. I mean, Mahomes is awesome, but it seems like Kelsey's wearing down, and they got some issues. So I'm going to take KC to win, but I'm going to take those points in a divisional game. I think the Raiders are going to play fast and loose and score some points.
Yeah, so the Raiders scored 63 points last week, and the Chargers fired their head coach. So I'm not really sure how much that really matters. I really like the Chiefs in this game. They have they're not as good as they usually are, but they still have that Patriots thing where they just take care of business against bad teams, and I think the Chiefs win, and I think they'll
cover.
I think they cover, but it's one of those that's
late backdoor.
Yeah, not really great cover, but a cover.
Chiefs.
I'm tempted to take the points here, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take the Chiefs both ways.
Yeah, that's what Paul did too.
All right. 4:30 on Fox. The 5-9 Giants are at the 10-4 Eagles.
Marron.
Eagles by 11.5.
Marron.
That's a big one. Man, if this wasn't the Giants, I would probably take those points and think it was going to be close, but I don't know. I feel like Philly's kind of due for a get right kind of game. I think it might be this one, so I'm going to take Philly.
I'm going to take Philly, but I'm taking Tommy Cutlets to cover that spread. I'm worried about the Eagles. The Eagles are in trouble.
Fired his agent. Now he's going to go off.
Well, so apparently that it was he hired a marketing agent.
There you go.
Oh, so it wasn't his actual agent
so
that he fired?
It
was the marketing team?
Correct. His player contract agent is still the guy that Paul knows. I don't know his name.
Everybody getting a palm in the pot.
Yeah. I think the Eagles are in real trouble. Their offense is really simple. Their defense is exposed in the back end. And I think Tommy Cutlets keeps it at least within the spread of third. That's a big spread. And the Giants have been playing decent football. So
yeah.
Gotcha.
Eagles.
Paul is Eagles too.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable here taking the points. So it's Eagles, but I'm taking the points. Giants keep it under that number. 8:15 on ABC, ESPN Plus, ESPN Deportes. The 11-3 Ravens are at the 11-3 49ers.
What a game!
Another good game.
What a game! We're all going to be porked with food and presents.
What's
and
that?
Porked. Pork. I don't know. Sorry, no pork.
I've heard that before.
I mean, this interesting game. How we pick it? I'm gonna take San Francisco at home. I will lay the points. I think it'll be a good game, but I think San Francisco will win 6 points more.
I have to stay with the bit, so I'm gonna take the Ravens in this game, upset special, and this is the game. Mike McDonald, the Ravens defensive coordinator, getting some love around the league. He's gonna make Brock Purdy look like Mr. Irrelevant.
You wish.
Ravens.
Alex?
Brock Purdy, MVP securing game.
Oh.
Coming
Oh.
Personally, I like McCaffrey for it, but yeah.
Is that why you like McCaffrey? Or?
He's got great abs.
Oh my God.
SFSF?
I'm a professional. Okay, I'm a professional. Niners.
Yeah, Paul's Niners.
Not to mention, I don't hold a candle to Olivia Colplo, so no chance.
I'm going to go Niners, but I'm saying that the Ravens cover.
Yeah, all right.
So there you go. All right, now we move back to 8:15 on Christmas Eve. This game is on NFL Network, so apparently because they gave NBC the Saturday.
Yeah.
So they were willing to give up the Sunday night football game.
I see.
So on NFL Network, but locally here in New England, what network is it on?
I don't know.
Probably BZ, right?
Oh, not necessarily. No. Oh, it is? It's CBS?
Matisse doesn't
or
know.
BZ here.
Matisse has a very confused face.
What are you doing?
What is it?
Use the
he
mic.
Has the most
Use your
talking
face.
to the mic.
Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
Can you guys?
Okay.
BZ, I think.
All right.
That's
so
not
it's
very convincing,
he
Matisse.
didn't know.
BZ, I think.
It's definitely probably maybe BZ.
Yeah. So in the New England market, the Boston market, you can watch it on BZ. You don't
They have
have
great
to
mac
watch
and
it
cheese at
on
Boston
NFL
market.
Network.
Okay. Broncos 6.5. And I think this is a tough travel. It's tough to play there for the Patriots generally. They got a bunch of new injuries. I think Denver's going to roll in this game pretty easily. I got Denver both ways, 27-10.
Yeah, I'm with Deuce. I have Denver. I think it's a bad matchup for the Patriots. Aggressive blitz defense, a couple good receivers, decent quarterback on the other side against a banged-up defense for the Patriots. I like the Broncos. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring, though. Maybe weather, maybe cold, I'll say Denver 17-6.
Oh.
Yeah. Have fun with that on Christmas Eve.
You have fun with it.
Oh, I get paid.
Yeah,
I'm having fun.
Having the
I
time
hope
of my
you guys
life.
get like delayed
Oh,
leaving.
God.
There's like frozen rain. You can't
Why
leave
do you
in time
hope
right
How
that?
dare
That's
you?
rude.
How dare you?
Because it would make for good radio after.
I gotta hurt. Gotta hurt.
Good complaints
I'll be
on
in
Monday.
so much trouble.
Broncos to win. Patriots cover.
Really?
Ooh,
Good
girl.
for you.
Oh, yeah.
Showing a
Trying
little
to keep
faith
the
in the
faith.
home team.
Putting them on the
Company
table.
gal. Company gal.
Good for you, Alex.
21-17.
2017. Wow. All right. Oh boy.
Yeah. I wish I had the faith that Alex does. Like I said in the roundup that Deuce sent out, the Patriots had trouble winning in Denver when Tom Brady was the quarterback. 24-10 Denver.
That's where I'm living too.
They win by 2 touchdowns.
Should we pick Celtics Lakers too?
Oh.
On Christmas Day?
Christmas Day, 5 o'clock. Celtics Lakers.
What's the point spread?
That I don't know.
Household divided.
Well, how can we pick it?
Yeah. Just pick it straight up.
Straight
See
up?
if we can get it
Celtics, go.
Celtics.
Team Green. All right. So that's it. That's
Celtics by 4.5.
This is our last show,
In that case.
Patriots Unfiltered show before Christmas.
Yeah.
Deuce and Paul, Tamara, and Hardy will be back for the pregame show on Sunday, 6:45.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
We'll be here.
And then the postgame show, and then we'll be back on Tuesday after Christmas. See you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.